I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Wow.
Welcome, everybody. This is Brian Smith along with
Carrie Smith.
Here on Smyth Radio on a beautiful Sunday evening, and we are loaded to the gills. This week has been monumental, groundbreaking, historical.
Really historical.
All that stuff.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm not 100% sure, but it very well may be that 1,000 years from now, it's possible. People might be pointing out an event that happened this week.
Right.
Just like many, I don't even know what year it happened, but just like the fall of Constantinople and into what we know today is Istanbul.
For those of you, especially in Westwood, who go to public schools, you may not know, or you may know the song.
Well, you have to be at least 35. Actually, I'm going to say 40. I'll say 40.
Whoa.
If you're at least 40, because I was really young. I was probably 12.
You're really dating yourself now.
Maybe even earlier. I was 11. Okay. I was pretty young.
Okay.
They Might Be Giants is the name of the group, and they came out with a song called Constantinople, I think, is the name of the song. But anyway, for those of you who don't know,
well, it's called Istanbul. But yeah,
Istanbul, right? Oh, that's the name of the song, right. Istanbul. Okay. So what you'll know is that Istanbul, Turkey, used to be Constantinople. And Constantinople was supposed to be a new capital for the Roman Empire.
Oh, okay. It Might Be Giants came out with that in 1982.
Oh, okay. I was only...
I wasn't even born
yet. I wasn't even born yet. We're just a bunch of kids here. Wasn't even born. Whatever.
But yeah,
82. So it was already an old song the first time I ever heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the name of the it came on a show and it was interesting. But anyway, so what happened was back in Roman times, they didn't like Rome being the capital anymore.
Correct. This was just 300 AD, 300 AD.
Right. It was towards the end of the Roman Empire.
The fall of Rome.
Right. Well, they decided, you know what, this whole thing in Rome, it's too congested here. It's just a mess. It's not very strategic as far as the Navy's concerned and everything like that. If you look at the port at Istanbul,
it would be perfect for the capital
and that's
the Roman Empire.
And that's what they were thinking.
Because it stretched all the way across Europe.
Right, and at the time, the Emperor of Rome was Constantine. That was Emperor Constantine, and he said, we need a new capital and a new place, and we're going to build a new Roman Empire from there. And it'll be the best place, the busiest port, the biggest port, the most defendable port, and it'll be where Istanbul is today. And we're going to call this city Constantinople. So that's what they did. They made it a city. So anyway, this was Constantinople for many years, and then finally the Muslims came along and said, we're going to defeat this thing, and I don't think they got it on the first couple of tries, but eventually they did defeat Constantinople, and now it is an Islamic city of Istanbul.
Yeah, the Ottomans in the 1400s conquered it.
And here's the difference between what happened with the fall of Constantinople and the fall of Europe, which will happen eventually. It's going to happen, period. And what happened this week with the this massacre in the French newspaper.
Yeah, we won't be calling Europe anymore.
Yeah, they're going to rename it something.
Something, and it will be, I don't know, a Muslim name? something from the Islam. They may even call it, name it after the Prophet Muhammad. Muhammad Land.
Muhammad Land.
And it'll be like Disney World or Disneyland, and people will want to go there to picnic, to frolic through the woods,
and
to
it'll
enjoy
cost
the rides.
$200 a ticket to get in. And instead,
children under 5 are not free. They're not even half price. They're full adult price.
Okay, all right.
So everybody's $200.
$200, right. And if you want to stay at a hotel, they have a package deal. 5-day stay, 2 nights, or 2-day pass for only $8,500 a person. I haven't even been to Disney World yet with my daughter, and I keep hearing all these horror stories about the
let me officially kick this story off with Monica Crowley. She's on Fox News, and she's talking with Stuart Varney, who is a really good guy. He's got a show there, Varney and Company. And she's on, and he asks her the question, why the reluctance to call this for what it is?
We have been crippled by political correctness for a long time, Stuart, but the reality is, whether we want to see it or not, we are in World War III, and it's civilization on one side and the barbaric Islamists on the other. And we have to fight this war or we are going to lose it. And part of it is
that?
He does it. He can't even say it. Never mind fight it. The first step to fighting this, if we're ever going to have any hope of defeating this enemy, is to be able to look the enemy squarely in the eye and call it what it is. This administration can't even do that. The jihad comes in a lot of different forms, Stuart. It comes in the violent form, which of course we're all worried and concerned about, but it also comes in the stealth infiltration form of the Muslim Brotherhood, spreading poison through the mosques and inspiring people to become radicalized. It also comes in the form of the attack on free speech. You would think that the leader of the free world, the President of the United States, who sits atop a constitution that has a First Amendment guaranteeing free speech, it's not the 10th Amendment, it's the first one for a reason, that he would have displayed a lot more passion and had a much more visceral reaction to what happened to our ally France yesterday than he did.
Okay, so you know what she's missing?
She's expecting something. She doesn't know who Obama is, apparently.
Oh, so you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking.
Yes. She
is that,
lost. He's Muslim.
Right. He's a but she was dancing all around it. Right. She flat out said one of the things that you could do is violence, a violent takeover of the world. Another thing is just infiltrate.
Well,
that's what they did.
Obama has infiltrated.
Yeah,
America. They,
as in the Islamic cult has infiltrated our presidency through Obama.
Right. And if you don't believe me, look at all the money he has dumped on the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, look how he's reacting to this. Right. He's attacking the Constitution. The Constitution is what's really... He said it himself. It's like this thing that's preventing him from being able to establish a full-blown Islamic communist state.
See, the problem is that I'm the president.
And not...
the dictator.
Or the
emperor.
Well, no, what's it called? The Ayatollah.
Ayatollah Khomeini.
Ayatollah, yes. He wants to be the Ayatollah of America.
Because the Ayatollah, even if there's a president or somebody, a figurehead, if you will, in power, the Ayatollah completely controls those people that are in power, and they must bow down or go to the woodshed. And you don't want to go to the woodshed with those guys.
We've had some people go to the woodshed this week, haven't we?
Oh, we have.
Whoa! What was that screaming? Whoa, you woke me up.
That, my friend.
That's going to be my alarm on my phone.
Oh, dude.
That would be so funny.
That has to be. Well, the Muslims, the Islamist extremist, ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want to call them, they believe in the Quran, and they believe that they should kill anyone who will not convert
I haven't heard enough
religion.
opposition to that. I mean, isn't that pretty much established at this point?
No, we have American political leaders who are saying otherwise.
Oh, so we do have some pushback.
Yes. Howard Dean, who ran for the presidency back in 2004-ish.
Before we found out that he was a raving lunatic.
Right. before yeah, that's what did it in for him.
Yeah, and rightfully so, by the way.
So he was on the MSNBC, the MSNBC show. I don't know if you guys know, there is a channel out there called MSNBC, and nobody watches it. So we pick these sound bites out because we know nobody's going to watch it.
By the way, we don't watch it either. We have to find these sound bites.
Not only do we have to find the sound bites, but the sound bite that I had saved, and I went to for show prep earlier this week. I went to for show prep. The video was taken down.
Well, the reason it was taken down was because MSNBC can only afford a small amount of space on their flash drive. So they have to clear space on their little portable flash drive in order to put more content on their website.
Wow.
Anyway.
Their servers are now crashing because our entire listening audience
is now logging in to find out what we're talking about.
So Howard Dean went on the show, and this is what he had to say about the three Muslim gunmen who went to it's called Charlie Hebdo. It's a magazine, a satirical magazine that makes fun of everybody, anybody, and everybody. But specifically, they were making fun of Muhammad. And these three gunmen, as you probably know, this is world news, went and massacred 12 employees.
And by the way, can I just make, I don't know if this would be uncouth. 3 guys armed to the teeth with AK-47s and
Kalashnikovs.
I don't know why. Just call it an AK-47. Why do they call it? Why they're spelling the? This is like a word. Kalashnikov has like 47 letters in it, all consonants. All consonants. Why don't you just call it an AK-47? Everybody knows what an AK-47.
Because he's not a gun owner.
I guess.
He doesn't know anything about
I honestly think that they're being hipsters.
It's like Barbara Boxer saying if we get rid of all the clips, then eventually nobody will could shoot a gun. Because we stopped making clips.
All right, so they're armed with Kalashnikovs. AK-47. See, I'm doing it too. They also have rocket launchers, according to reports. They also had actual hand grenades.
Wow. I would have started off big.
You got to start with the rocket
launcher.
Okay, so and not only that, but they weren't killed on sight. So it's not like these people weren't stopped. They went in, they did the massacre that they did, and they got out and weren't even stopped.
It rolled out. Just rolled out. Got in the car and drove away.
That being said, I'm sure I'm going to offend somebody, and I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm saying this because I want to thoroughly make fun of these complete losers. All that being said, with 3 people, they killed 12?
Right.
12 people?
Oh.
That is pathetic!
Oh, I see where you're going.
That is the most...
Well, they might...
An AK has 30-round clips.
Yeah, but in France...
Oh, my gosh.
And they probably didn't understand, but in France... There are laws on the books for workers to be able to, if they feel tired, they can leave and go home. Now, this might have been right after this. I don't know what time it happened. Might have been after like a break where they ate too much, and most of them just went home.
Because they do eat a lot. It's like a 12-course meal.
Right. And you do that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So they might have been, they were sleeping, and the gunman thought, my buddy already killed that one. I'm going to go find somebody else.
They didn't realize they were actually still alive.
They were napping.
They were like, everybody's dead. Let's get out of here. Turns out only 12 were dead. And I know there's people out there listening right now thinking, how can these people make jokes about it? Dude, come on. That is pathetic. I mean, I gotta make fun of them for gross incompetence when you got 3 guys, and between the 3 of them, you got AKs, rocket launchers, and hand grenades, and then after all that, you run out of there, you're done with your massacre, and I'm putting that in air quotes. I mean, that guy in Virginia Tech single-handedly killed like 32 people.
By himself, right.
By himself, right. Single-handedly. 3 of them, that's like 4 each. They're like, hey, did you get your 4th yet? I don't know. Hold on.
Hey, what about that guy running?
I'm out of ammo. I ran out of 30 rounds. They said they had masses amount of ammo. Were they shooting in the air? I mean, what were they doing?
Well,
my gosh.
To their defense, when you're Muslim, and you go on a mass killing spree, if you will, the first thing you're to do is point your gun in the air and scream,
and fire, right.
And then you fire it, and in the name of Muhammad.
I know what it was. They came in, they had their guns, and they said, all right, first things first, got to put up this black and white flag, upside down, or whatever it was. So they're up there with these thumbtacks up on the wall trying to put... Meanwhile, everybody's like, holy crap, and just running for the exits. And halfway through putting up their propaganda, they realize, wait, they're leaving. We gotta start shooting them in the back.
Shoot. No, you shoot, man. No, you shoot. No.
And they're jammed. They don't know how to cock the gun, and yeah.
They did not teach me this in the
rocket launchers are just laying on the ground. Have no idea how to do that.
You pick it up.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I would probably have to look at it for a minute to figure out how to fire
a rocket launcher.
I didn't get a chance to fire a rocket launcher, so I'd probably have to look at it for a minute.
I've watched enough movies to know that there's a flip thing.
That movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Oh, boy. Now you're going way back. However, folks, if you haven't seen it,
you gotta go and buy that movie today. And I don't say rent it, and I don't say go to the library and get it.
It should be part of your archives.
It should be, because I'll tell you why. Whenever you're feeling down, you go and crack that thing open, and that will just make you feel alive. Make you feel better.
It will make you realize that your life is worth something.
So in that movie, at the very end, he gets his hands on a rocket launcher,
which is amazing.
So he busts it out and he starts looking at it like, I have no idea how to operate this thing.
Right.
So some little kid comes up to him and helps him out and says, you got to flip that thing up. and Michael Douglas is like, oh, really? Okay. Oh, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. So finally, after the kid completely walks him through the step-by-step on how to set this thing up to fire,
right,
he finally fires it.
Right.
So
it's the one, you flip the thing up and flip the thing down, and then there's a button.
That's right. It telescopes.
Telescopic.
Yeah, telescopic opening.
Pop it open.
Right.
Yep. Long way.
So he finally fires it, and I'm thinking that this attack was probably very similar to that, where they were like, does anybody know how to work this? Meanwhile, they're all running for the door. And the only reason they got 12 is probably because they had to chase half of them down. Like a bunch of idiots. Oh.
So Howard Dean has his take on this entire ordeal that went down. This is a notable politician in America.
Oh, big time, yeah.
A big time
New Englander. New Englander,
lefties. And
New Hampshire, right? He's a New Hampshire senator.
And a lunatic to boot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a chronic problem. I stopped calling these people Muslim terrorists. They're about as Muslim as I am. I mean, they have no respect for anybody else's life. That's not what the Quran says. And Europe has an enormous radical problem, and an enormous. I think ISIS is a cult, not an Islamic cult. I think it's a cult.
Yeah.
And I think that you got to deal with these people. The interesting thing here is we talked about guns the last time, regarding the United States. Regarding how guns get in the hands of the kind of people that killed the 2 police officers here 2 weeks ago. France has tremendous gun control laws, and yet these people are able to get Kalashnikovs. So, this is really complicated stuff. And I think you have to treat these people as basically mass murderers, but I do not think that we should accord them any particular religious respect, because I don't think, whatever they're claiming their motivation is, clearly is a twisted, cultish mind now.
So what you heard there was a liberal Democrat communist who hates the Second Amendment begin to make an argument for it. And he stepped in the dookie as he was going through a thought process and actually reciting pretty much the talking points of the NRA for the most part, and then he never comes to a conclusion. And you're probably wondering, well, why would he say all that and not come to a conclusion? Because I think he got to a point in his thought process where he realized he was having diarrhea of the mouth.
Or the shock collar that he has to wear.
Oh, they do.
Because you're part of the regime.
Right.
You have to wear the dog shock collar.
Right.
It went off.
Well,
repeatedly.
if Stalin had shock collars back in the 40s, everybody would have been wearing them, period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But now that everybody has smartphones, it has the electrodes hooked up to them constantly, and they can do it remotely.
Oh.
So he's in the middle of talking.
Wise. That's very wise.
And I'll give Howard Dean a lot of credit there. He doesn't yell out when shocked, but he certainly fixed the situation by very quietly just dropping his train of thought.
Right.
He literally just dropped it.
Right, because he was worried about the woodshed.
He got taken.
Up.
It was too late. He opened that Pandora's box.
So after he left the stage, this is what he had to say.
That's what he said when the shock collar.
And then he repeated,
"Where the hell is the Democratic Party?"
Right. It's not a Democratic Party. It is the Democrat Party.
Right, because Democratic would imply that there's some sort of a democratic process. There is no democracy in communism.
No.
Anyway.
Woo! So he said a lot there.
Yeah, there was a lot. We really should have broke that up into two segments. Obviously, the one where he totally steps hip deep into a pile of horse manure when accidentally advocating for less gun laws, because what he basically said, look, this gun control stuff doesn't work.
Yeah, like the two cops that were shot at point blank in their cop car by the thug
in a city that has very strict gun laws.
Right. So France, who has the strictest gun laws,
they don't even allow their cops to have guns.
They have sticks.
Rush pointed out that as he was during his show, he was reporting on all this stuff going on in France.
Right.
Halfway through the show, he realized, and he pointed this out in the show, that all these people emailing him and calling in, he realized none of his listeners had any idea that French cops are completely disarmed.
That is hysterical, folks.
They have no guns. They're the Keystone Cops with the billy clubs.
Oh, in Italy, when I lived there, the cops drive little tiny toy box cars.
Like three-wheelers.
Yeah. And you could easily outwalk them, outrun them. However,
it's like a golf cart.
Yeah. However, nothing really bad happens, and people, although they may speed, there are no high-speed chases ever. Why? Because their cops have a little white stick with a little round red dot at the top of it, and when they flip it, the other side is green. So when they hold, and we call them lollipops, when he throws his lollipop up and it's red, and you don't stop, he has a fully automatic Uzi hanging from his neck.
Really?
They will open fire.
See, a lot of you are probably thinking, that's nuts! The fact that is a well-known thing in Italy, it keeps everybody in line.
Everybody knows if the cop throws the lollipop, you stop.
You better slam on the brakes, because that Uzi...
You don't creep by him like, I'm another car, and I'll just slip through. No.
That Uzi's coming out.
You see it, and you'll see the car in front of you. If he's halfway past the cop, and peripheral, he catches it, he might stop too.
Wow. Everybody, dude, he's got an Uzi.
Yes, they all have Uzis hanging from their neck.
That's and it's just at the right height where the time or the motion to get it pointed downrange at a target is minimal.
Oh, very minimal, because all they have to do is maybe turn their body just a little and just open
or
up.
Flip their wrist. They just flip the wrist a little bit, and boom, it's aimed right at you.
Right.
Wow,
and
that's
they
amazing.
They may pull the trigger before they move in a sweeping motion.
Oh, so it's like a spray gun.
Right. Well, that kind of makes sure that anybody around that may be doing something
They don't want to
wrong.
miss in case,
Don't want to miss nothing.
They don't want to miss nothing. Nothing.
So that's the cops in Italy.
That's very impressive. And, I've always said this. Gosh, we live in a tough world. And it's really tough to have to say this because we're talking about people's lives. You would think that, I don't know, I think people would hear this and say that, Carrie, I don't think you have enough value on human life.
What?
But, there was a point in time back in the day in America where, you just, if you say the wrong thing to somebody, you just get shot dead right there in the street. But you know what that caused? It caused the amount of civility that we haven't seen in over 100 years in America.
Yeah? I don't know.
People made sure that they were polite at all times and that, there was a certain amount of decency and respect that you had around people, just knowing full well that you could get just a bullet between the eyes.
You're talking about the Wild Wild West?
Yeah, I mean, the kind of treatment that you saw between people, you just don't see anymore.
Right. Well, and that reminds me of a story. My father-in-law, who's in his late 70s, and lives out in California. He's from Mexico, south of the border. And he told me when he was younger, his big problem was getting into fights at the bar with Indians.
Okay.
And he hated them. He always carried a knife or carried a gun. And if they saw each other, they'd go outside, start shooting it and duking it and cutting them.
Yeah, and
you don't hear. When was the last time you heard somebody?
Right, and the fact that he's from Mexico lends some credibility to the background there. Like, if somebody said, "Yeah, when we were kids, we did that in Indianapolis," I'd be like, "Whatever, dude." But I could certainly see. And nowadays in Mexico, it's probably even worse because the fact that there's really not much government infrastructure as far as cops, and it's so corrupt and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, and this week, now that you mentioned that, I remembered a story I was reading this week. Apparently, the cartel has been afforded a luxury by the government to expand its operations. The Mexican government has removed and cracked down on hundreds of small little gangs.
Okay.
To remove the little gangs that aren't part of the cartel, so that the cartel could then move in.
Right, because we're kind of getting way off on a tangent here,
that.
but cartel and cops over there are just working hand in hand. If I was, the cartel's so big. I mean, if you're in charge of a cop, like all the cops of a city,
yeah,
like you're a sheriff
precinct or something,
yeah,
that district.
I mean, it might be your life if you don't. It might be the difference between living and dying, whether or not you decide to team up with the cartel or not.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, they might be forced that way. But anyway, getting back to Howard Dean, yeah, the whole gun thing, everybody should be packing, and I think that if you kill somebody in cold blood, you should go to prison. And as long as that is a widely accepted and known fact, you're not going to have people popping off their gun whenever they feel like it, because they're going to be worried about going to prison for the rest of their life.
Right. I want to say it's Switzerland. This article came up this week
because
of this.
Yeah.
It said the highest highest rate of guns or protection that people have is the country of Switzerland.
The highest rate of what?
Owning guns, gun ownership, protection.
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't get that thought out. When you buy a home in Switzerland, There's a law in the books that says that home must be armed with a gun.
The home must be armed?
Yes.
Or the person who owns it?
No, the home.
The home, okay. Because, guns actually have their own personalities. They have their own soul. And they are a living, breathing. They have tempers.
They may fire at will.
They could get up and walk over and just lose their temper and just start throwing up on everybody.
Right.
That's what liberals want you to believe. And they also believe that guns have mind control over human beings.
Who's the rock and roller, Motorhead City man, the rock and roller, the really outrageous gun-toting...
Oh, you talking about Ted Nugent?
Yeah, Ted Nugent. He has a gun that's in his living room on display, set up in a firing position, and he claims that he's waiting for the day that it decides to go ahead and shoot.
That is very interesting. Yeah, because you're probably thinking, why would you... That right there is a satirical attack on the liberal mindset, which is that they believe that guns will make people do stuff.
Right.
And it's just
an unloaded gun is just a chunk of metal. It's as worthless as any other piece of metal. But a loaded gun is protection, and it's
just a tool.
It's a tool to be used.
It'd be like saying, that hammer might start nailing in some nails.
It might nail somebody.
It might nail somebody, right? There's some other things that are tools, if you will, that could start doing some
damage.
Some work.
Right.
Some work that...
Could you imagine you show up on the job with your bag of tools, and you just dump them out, clack, 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 clack. Did you dump them out, and then you go have a seat? And you tell the boss, say, don't worry.
Wait, have you seen the movie Maximum Overdrive?
Oh,
the Stephen King movie. Let me tell you something.
Those trucks had a mind of their own.
Well, almost every tool if it was a hand tool, no. Right. But if it was a power tool,
right.
Not only could it turn on and off, but then it could just move. Remember that electric knife that you would cut meat with?
Yes.
It just started attacking somebody. It started attacking somebody. The lawnmowers were going
another
after
movie
people.
For your collection.
I would not. Now, let me tell you something about Maximum Overdrive. That is a rental, not a purchase.
For me personally, for nostalgia reasons, I would own it.
Really?
Yes.
It's that bad, though. It's that bad. It does remind me of my childhood, though.
Because when somebody comes over to your house and they start browsing through your collection, and they're like, what is this? Maximum Overdrive? And you open the curtains, you're like, oh, it is a rainy Saturday afternoon, and we are kind of bored. Hey, let's put it in.
I could see that, maybe. It's a summertime movie, but the lawnmowers running after people.
So you could watch that during the winter, snowing, raining outside, it's cold and dreary, pop that in, and it's a summertime movie.
Make you feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside.
Oh, it will.
So anyway, so that's the liberal. So we're going to go all the way back to Howard Dean now. The other thing he was pointing out was that Muslims are peaceful. He didn't say this, but he was implying that Muslims are just peaceful people, and that calling these terrorist, extremist killers Muslims is a misnomer.
I'm more Muslim than they are.
Right, and my first initial reaction is, oh, Howard Dean's Muslim. Well, he actually supported that belief by pointing out that he knows what the Quran says, which is that it does not tell you to kill people, but we know it does.
We know better.
Well, it tells people that if you can't get the person in front of you to convert to Islam, then it is your duty to go ahead and execute them.
Right. I typed into Google, is Howard Dean, and it came up sick.
Is he sick? Well, he's a doctor, so he might be able to fix himself.
That's right, he is.
He's a pediatrician or something.
He should go back to doing
He's a pedo something.
Pedo something.
Yeah. He doesn't have a mustache, but
I typed in, is Howard Dean a Muslim? Woo! Boy!
Is it loaded?
Oh, my God.
The
It's
Google
all
search melted down.
It is all about Howard Dean this week. Every single MSNBC, Fox reported it. Everybody's reporting on Howard Dean.
Oh my gosh!
They're reporting on his lunacy, folks. It's beyond me how this man, who votes for people like this?
I don't know, but it's crazy. What is he gonna do? What should we be taking him seriously?
I don't know if anybody really takes him seriously, but it is what it is. I have a sound clip here of Lou Dobbs. Lou Dobbs got a show on Fox, and Lou Dobbs has Jack Keenan, who is a general, and he put this question to him. He said to the general, what are we to make of the president's passivity on the war on terror? And here's what the general said.
Yeah, this has been a pattern for 6 years, and this president's unwillingness to define who the enemy is, as you suggested, radical Islamists. The world knows that's the case. And even for more than that, Lou, we failed to explain the ideology. I mean, we obviously have to kill and capture radical Islamists, but to prevent these things from happening, we have to undermine this ideology, de-glamorize it, use Muslims in this country to help us, and certainly we have to work with our Muslim partners in other countries to undermine the ideology. But we don't even explain it to the American people what this is. And that is absolutely irresponsible as far as I'm concerned, and it's a pattern that contributes to the rise of radical Islam. It has quadrupled since the President of the United States assumed power. He takes credit for increasing drone attacks.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. I can't. Did you hear the gunfire in the background?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So obviously this would be a video clip, or this would have been a soundbite from a news report where in the background they're showing some of the clips of the terrorist attack.
It's possible, yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
Well, here's something I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see a pattern here, Kerry.
Which is?
And I'm wondering if you see the same pattern.
You're going to have to explain it to me.
Well, we've got these people on the news talking about terrorism and wondering why in the hell Obama isn't doing anything.
Right, and he said we need to. He isn't defining who the enemy is. Yes, he has.
You know exactly. After this last couple of months, you know exactly who the enemy is.
He's defined the enemy. It's Christian white men.
They're going around killing everybody.
Yeah, that's the enemy, and we got to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you've been listening to our show, we've had many, many articles on white killers, men who kill, especially aiming for minorities.
And then his reaction to that is we got to do something about the problem, which is that cops are killing unarmed male teens.
This is an
white cops. Yeah,
white cops in America is an epidemic.
And that the cops were wrong. Remember that years ago, the beer summit situation. Yeah, he had to have a beer with them because he was chastised for pointing. He sided with the. You looking up beer summit?
No, I'm just looking at because I think it's a pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Not an epidemic. White cops killing black teenagers is a pandemic.
And what is the definition of a pandemic?
Pandemic is an infectious disease that is spread through the human populations across a large region, for instance, multiple continents, or even worldwide. Well, we haven't yet gotten worldwide with white cops killing black people, but we will get there.
It may not be a pandemic, but it's definitely a plague. There's a plague of white cops killing.
It's like Ebola that just hasn't jumped to the next continent.
Or has it?
Ooh.
willfully. It was. We already pointed out. You know why that stopped, don't you?
Dude,
because we called him out on it.
Dude, you know they try to drum it up again this week.
Well, something to get off this terrorism thing.
They tried to drum up and say there was an article. I couldn't even read it because my eyes were bleeding.
We're not reading it now. This is the kind of trolling that we need on this show.
The title of the article said something to the effect of Ebola. Is it gone or not?
Okay.
Ebola in America. Where is she? Because it's a killer, and it's seeking out minorities, it's seeking out innocent people. That's what it's doing in America.
So were they pointing it out because they want to drum it up as a fear-mongering event?
Because it had something to do with how to protect yourself against it. And I'm like, what?
Where did they? Well, somebody was diagnosed with it the other day. Okay. In America.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So that's probably why they come from. But you know why why there was another case in America? Because they needed to distract, so they went ahead and
shipped it. They flew the plane,
over.
the G5. They got on the G5,
That's
flew
right.
it to Liberia, picked up a couple of people, hoping one of them. I mean, he looked like he had leprosy, but they were hoping it was Ebola, so they flew him here.
Right, and then they did some tests and said, he does. Good to go. Let's start talking about it.
Wow.
So, anyway.
Wow. Yeah. The Muslims are on the rise in Europe. They're taking over Europe, as Monica Crowley earlier said. This is, and I almost, not that I want to believe her, but I do believe that we are definitely, as a culture in the world, we are at a tipping point which could easily escalate to a World War III. Years ago, back in the 80s, there's somebody that I knew that was an older gentleman. It's like a father type older guy back in the 80s, and he always went around saying that World War III will be a religious war.
Wow, that's a prophet right there.
Saying that back in the 80s.
That's amazing. Why would he think that? I mean, did he really see the writing on the wall? I mean, it was so obscure back then. It was so worried about the Russians and communists and all that stuff back in the 80s because of the Reagan era and all that, and he kind of was doing that arms race thing.
He might have said that because somebody else told him that, because I don't think he was that
smart,
insightful. Right.
Yeah, you have to be really insightful to gosh, that's first of all, you would have to have anticipated the fall of the Soviet Union.
Right.
Because without the fall of the Soviet Union, the only rational thought of what could possibly cause the end of the world, or World War III,
right?
Not the end of the world, but World War III, would be, it has to be something that leads to one firing on the other, and then all of a sudden you have a big exchange, and that would be what we would consider World War III, is what we all considered would be World War III back in the 80s and earlier.
We really did believe that it was
everybody did.
Any moment at any day, World War III would break out with Russia, and it would be a nuclear war. That was what everybody said.
Yeah, the thought of there being ground troops was not even a thought. That just wasn't going to, just wasn't a thought in anybody's mind. Everybody thought that there was enough nuclear bombs to hit all the major cities in all of America and all the major cities in all of Soviet Union, and what would be left would be some rural areas, but the fallout would. The belief was, and I don't think it's true, I don't think it would have came out this way, but the belief is that the fallout would contaminate the rest of the world enough to cause it to be uninhabitable, and very few humans would be left. I don't believe that. I think that there would be large populations left in rural areas. It's just a lot of people would have died in cities.
Well, and there was also this belief by the left that the assumption was that there were so many nuclear weapons in the hands of Russia and America that they could bomb every square inch or every square mile of... I
don't believe that.
It was statements. Just ridiculous nonsense. It's the fear mongering that they always.
It's stupid. If you were to look at a nuclear explosion from space, high enough in space to where you can see the whole world, it would look like somebody just snapped a.
You think you could see it?
Oh, I know you'd see it, and it would be kind of bright, but it wouldn't be what you think it is. Like when I was a little kid in grade school, we would talk about it. We're just like in second, third, fourth grade,
right.
And we would talk about how one nuclear bomb could blow half the world off to where it looked like somebody took a gigantic bite out of an apple. We believe that.
Star Wars. It was the Death Star.
The Death Star, yeah. That's what we thought nuclear bombs could do. And it wasn't until I started learning more about it when I got a little older, maybe 6th, 7th grade, where I was like, oh, okay, it could blow up a city, but we're not blowing up the world. Right. That being said, you hit all the major metropolitan areas in all of America. We do it to the Russians. Boom, all of that's knocked out. You end up with nothing but Republicans left. And if you
right, exactly. And if you are fascinated by nuclear explosions, which I am, I don't know, it's a thing of mine. I like to YouTube things. There's a bomb that the Russians have tested back in the day called TSAR. SAR. And the largest nuclear bomb ever tested back in 1961, the Soviet-era 50 megaton equals 50 million tons of TNT. Total destruction, 15-mile radius, third-degree burns at 64 miles, and visible at 600 miles away. Original design was to be 100 megaton, according to the Center of Defense Information. There are approximately 30,000 intact nuclear warheads worldwide, but about 200 are retained by the United States and Russia.
Only 200?
I don't know if that can be true.
It used to be well over 1,000. I don't know if we hit 2,000. Maybe it was. Maybe it was 12,000. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out at you. I will tell you this. Getting back to what exact damage all these nukes could cause.
They're saying third-degree burn at 60 miles away.
Oh, I could believe that.
I believe it. However, this is the largest nuclear bomb ever built, and you're only getting third-degree burns at 60 miles.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty... You would have to be standing there and
waiting.
Just watching it from beginning to end with short-sleeve shirt and shorts on. That's what kind of burns we're talking about here.
Right.
If you're covered and you have sunglasses on, you're 60 miles away. I would say minimal. It would not be comfortable.
No. You'd probably see it coming and maybe even jump down on the ground.
Oh, certainly you would avoid. It's like when you're in Yuma, Arizona.
Hey, what's that coming?
Well, when you're in Yuma, Arizona, it's the middle of the summer, and it's 120 degrees out. What you tend to do is when you're walking from one place to another, is look for the next shaded area.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and so you walk directly towards the next shaded area, and you might even stop and take a break and let the heat cool off, like just from the shade.
Right.
And then before you venture off again, you look at your next shaded target.
Correct.
And say,
you do that in Palm Springs, too.
Really?
Palm Springs, absolutely.
Wow. I didn't think it was that hot there.
The middle of the summer in Palm Springs, hundreds, 110,
yeah.
115.
I didn't realize it got that hot there. Yuma, it would be 119, 120 sometimes. And you don't want to just be hanging out in the sun. You have to go to the shade.
Right.
So that's a very short period of time. I can imagine if you're 60 miles away from the biggest nuclear blast ever, you're probably going to find a shaded area. You're going to get behind something or whatever. Right. So, but if you really want to know what kind of damage hundreds and hundreds of nuclear blasts would do to the world, there's another YouTube video that shows a time lapse.
I've seen it. I was going to bring it up.
Of every single nuclear blast ever, and the video shows a map of the world.
Right.
And it'll be a little flash of light in the location that it happened.
And they have a running date, too.
Yeah, so the time is going real time times whatever. Like it's a time lapse.
Right.
So there'll be a flash at the certain date, and then time goes, and then another flash.
Well, the first flash would be in
Hiroshima.
Oh, did they do the testing?
Oh, I'm sorry, the testing before Hiroshima.
Right.
then Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know how many tests there were before Hiroshima, but I'm under the impression it's like one.
Right.
Like Hiroshima was like the second.
Ever
right, I think. So then there was Nagasaki, and then there was a long period of time where there was no more.
Quiet.
And then all of a sudden, flash, and then it was like hundreds and hundreds of flashes.
The whole world was flashed for like 5 years.
Yeah,
10 years
there was
straight.
like a 5-year period where it was like strobe light.
It is amazing to watch this, and it's scary at the same time.
Yeah, because you're thinking, wow, it's hard to believe there was that much testing.
What blows my mind, though, is how are we not all radiated?
Right, and why are we not all sunburned? Why is there not... the fallout should be falling from the sky. Well,
right.
No, it's because the propaganda about nuclear war, nuclear explosions was obvious. Do you realize there were thousands of people living in Las Vegas, Nevada in the 60s who periodically would see a big, giant light in the sky because they blew up another one in the testing a couple... 100 miles away.
They started at one point in time later on. They started detonating these nuclear weapons underground.
Yeah, that was a lot more recently.
And then maybe even under the ocean, things like that.
No, they stopped doing it under the ocean. They did that one time, and after they did that, they said, "Okay, new policy, new rules. New rule is." No detonating under the water. It did more damage than, and you know why they did
tsunami?
it? They were trying to make a tsunami. They said, "Is it possible if we blow this up underwater, can we make a tsunami?"
Hold on. Let me stop you right there. Could you imagine? Oh, you do imagine. Remember when we were kids, and you got a pack of firecrackers or a rocket, bottle rockets.
Okay.
And it was the day after the 4th, and there was still a lot left over.
Yeah, you had to do something with those.
What did you do with them?
I guess we were lighting them.
Could you imagine being these guys saying, we got a whole bunch left over?
Well, we got to try every scenario possible. So I think the thinking was, if we blow one of these up underwater, can we lift the water up enough in order to create a tsunami? So here's the results. It did not create a tsunami. As a matter of fact, the wave created by the nuclear blast was so minimal it did virtually no damage.
Really?
Yeah, that did not create a big enough wave to hardly do any damage. What it did do, though, was so much marine life just it caused so much radiation everywhere, damage to the water, the life. They had all these Navy ships that were left over from World War II.
Oh, you're talking about the it was an island that's gone.
The Bikini Atoll or whatever.
Bikini Atoll, and it's gone.
No, I think that island's still there, isn't it?
No, look at the before and after pictures.
It's gone?
It's the before and after. It's gone.
Man, I'll have to get on Google Earth.
And you know what's there? SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know the genesis of SpongeBob SquarePants, that's the joke. The Bikini Atoll, the Bikini Bottom.
Bikini Bottom.
So anyway, wow, we got off on a tangent there. But no, so it did a lot of damage, and it did so much damage, and it was so impossible to clean up that they were like, we can't do this anymore. Let's not do this anymore. It did way more damage than they thought.
Yes.
But it wasn't from a tsunami, though. It was just the blast and just everything.
The fallout.
What happened was, if you watch the video of it, and it's, I don't know where you would search for it, but it's a very, very, if you ever see it, the first thing that you're going to think is, oh, I've seen that video before. Very, very famous nuclear blast where like a column of water comes straight up, and then the blast is white because of all the water, I guess. Just this giant white vapor mushroom cloud. It looks like a big white mushroom cloud. So what happened was the nuclear blast detonated, I think it might have been 50 to 100 feet underwater or whatever. But what happened was that the bomb shot up out of the water and brought all the water with it. And just was a mess. Huge disaster. Ecological. Could you imagine the the liberals that would have a field day. The EPA people, I mean, it's just nuts.
Nuclear explosion at sea. You do that in the Google or in the YouTube search, you'll find it there.
Yeah, they put it underwater.
Yes, and you'll also see, because they had all the ships lined all the way around this area.
All the old leftover World War II Navy ships.
Just to see what would happen.
They're all underwater now. They all sank.
Yeah. Well, and
they also loaded them up with farm animals.
Did you?
Yeah, it was loaded with animals.
Dude,
they did.
No way!
It was like it was the perfect storm of liberal crying. Like it was, they stopped short of putting
damage to the environment.
Yeah,
damage to the sea life. Damage to animals.
No animals were harmed in the testing. Wow.
No, they were harmed.
Now, if it was a liberal doing it, they would have loaded it up with unborn babies.
Right, because that's what they do.
Right.
Apparently,
they would have been okay with that.
Right.
If it was loaded up with unborn babies, they would have been okay with that.
Right. And there's been news out. You got to search for it long and deep and far and wide. But apparently, there's places that are selling babies that have been aborted and using them to some type of fuel in a hospital.
That's got to be a lie.
Glenn Beck reported it.
Well, then it's definitely a lie. I think you just no.
He did a whole hour.
You know,
and he was going off about that movie that your dad has. That movie you watched where that people. There's a movie where they used
Logan's Run.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Glenn Beck refers to Logan's Run a lot. You got to watch it. It's interesting. It's a really far out there sci-fi movie.
Right. He also references the book 1984,
which I have to read.
I have it.
Really? Did you read it?
I can't read it.
Oh, is it that tough?
I got through
Orson Welles, right?
No. It was some off. I do.
1984 was written by George Orwell.
Oh, George Orwell.
Orson Welles was the Citizen Kane guy. Oh man, you gotta love this show. Orson Welles. He was the Citizen Kane guy. No.
So,
no, it was George Orwell,
and it was written not very good. And it's kind of dry.
Well, let's teach somebody something who's listening. If you ever hear somebody say, "Wow, that is so Orwellian," they're referring specifically to the book 1984, written by George Orwell.
Right, and it depicts a government that gets so robust and so overbearing that nobody can do anything.
And the weird thing is George Orwell was a liberal that was trying to depict a world that he thought conservatives would produce.
Right?
It's ironic. It's totally ironic. He was a liberal. Very liberal. In fact, he might even be communist. But he's the one that, if you ever hear words like thought crime.
Right.
Thought crime is from the book 1984. And there's a couple other phrases, too, that you hear all the time that are all referring back to 1984 book.
And the book itself, which was written back in the 1949 by this man who lived in London, it wasn't that popular.
Wow.
It didn't sell that well. Like, it's only recently that it's really become kind of the right conservative cry, or look at this. This is what is happening, and this is because of big government, liberal, communist. This is what you on the left, Democrats, are creating. And if you don't believe me, like the last show, this past year, last show I told you, in 2014, Obama had passed in the entire year 75,000 new regulations. If you think we need more rules and more regulations in this country, you're wrong.
We got to explain to everybody why this is a bad thing. The founding fathers of America created the Constitution to combat the there being a dictator, a monarchy, a king, a queen, whatever. And by doing that, they created the 3 branches of government that will create what they called checks and balances to keep any one of them, any one entity from becoming too powerful.
Right.
So one of the things they decided to do was to make sure that the executive branch was kept in check, was that they were not allowed to make or create any laws. That would be left up to the legislative branch. And the president is the head of the executive branch, and so he is forbidden, or any part of the executive branch is supposed to be forbidden from creating anything that I would think would be construed as a law. As far as I'm concerned, if you call something a regulation and breaking that regulation either causes you to be punished by fines or imprisonment or both, that's a law.
Right.
And
right.
so we've really gotten away completely from what the Founding Fathers tried to do with the Constitution. We're living in an unconstitutional country now. It's just not following the Constitution of the United States. We live in something called the United States. It's not the United States as founded by the founders.
Right, exactly. Just real quick before I forget, if you want to find that nuclear detonation timeline video.
Ooh, what's it called?
Pretty amazing. The guy's name on YouTube is called, his username is Don't Blink.
Interesting. So his username's, and you just said the actual name, which
right,
is
the name of the video.
Detonation Timeline, quote, 1945 to 1998.
Which is kind of funny because the whole video is in color, and America is blue, Russia is red, and then they'll show through the timeline the different explosions. They give you the day, or the month that it exploded, and the year. And I just played the first 2, which was amazing. I had no idea. The first one was detonated 7th month, which was September of 1945.
Okay.
And that was the first test.
Mm-hmm. Which would have been July.
Right. September. July.
7th. 7th.
Oh, 7. What did I say, September?
Where
the hell did that come from?
That's 9.
I'm looking at the next one. Okay. So it was detonated in July of 1945. The second one, which is Nagasaki and third one, Hiroshima.
So Hiroshima was the very second nuclear bomb.
The very next month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when else would you do it?
I don't know. I thought they were holding on to it for at least a couple months.
Why?
Debating.
Well, I mean, that's plenty of time to debate.
Right.
Well, I guess they had to put out the warning. Hey, we're going to annihilate you. And the thing is I don't know. I guess some people argued that maybe they should have exploded it out in the ocean right next to Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
And just said, this is what we could detonate this. I don't know. What do you do? It's war. You gotta stop it. Gosh, I mean.
So as the timeline, as this video goes, the ticker, if you will, is going through the months of the years, and it's a 9-minute video, 10-minute video.
Right, because the way the timeline goes, it's 1945 to 1998. If you're going to do it by a month basis, it's going to be a 9-minute video.
Right, and there's a lull. I mean, there's sections of time where you're going to be watching this video
and nothing's happening.
Nothing, which is kind of interesting because they just showed Russia's flag flashed. Now Russia's now on the board.
Yeah, this is a very well done video.
Oh,
it's so simple,
it is.
But it is very effective. They put up another flag for every new country that has nukes. So in the very beginning, the first couple flashes, you just have America's flag and then the tally. Right. Then as soon as Russia gets on board, the Russian flag appears and then their tally starts. And then every new nuke test, the tallies are it's like a counter. It's going
so
up
by
and up.
1952, Russia has detonated 3.
Okay.
And America has detonated 24.
Okay. All right. So fast way forward. I want to wait. Right about in the middle.
Right. This is where it starts to. Yeah. There's the critical, the crux. Oh my God!
It looks like 4th of July.
It does.
What year are we at?
At minute 5 in the 70s. So
70s.
So 1975 was.
Things have probably actually slowed down.
Wow, 75 was a busy year though.
Wow.
So by 1975, America's at almost 800.
800.
Russia's at 400.
So if they're not lying right now, didn't you just say that we have a current arsenal of 200 nuclear bombs?
Yeah, that's what their warheads.
And by 1975, we had already detonated over 800 nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
And how much is Russia?
They're half of us.
400?
Yeah, France is 83.
So what's the grand total?
Yeah, I'm going to get
You're thousands. We're over 1,000 nuclear bombs detonated by 1975.
1998, we hit 1,000. Russia's 700. France is 200. And Great Britain is 45.
So in the history of the world, actually in what, just 60 years or so?
The total, they're saying right here, the total is, Israel's on the map. China with 45.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. So they're saying total up to 1998, the total is 2,053.
Okay, so it's over 2,000 nuclear bombs have been detonated on Earth in 60, 70 years or so.
Right. And who knows from then till now, but, whatever. It's probably not as many.
You mean from then? Oh, well, yeah. North Korea was not in that video, and they are now.
Yes.
North Korea detonated one underground, which I was like, whatever, but...
Seismologists.
And CIA and FBI.
For those of you in Westwood, a seismologist is a guy who puts his ear to the ground or to a railroad and will be able to tell you that a train is coming.
Well, you could hear it better if you put your teeth on it. Bite the curb!
American History X, folks. I do not own it.
I do, on Blu-ray. Wow. I do. I have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, some disturbing scenes in that movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
If anybody tells you to bite the curb, you don't bite the curb.
No. Yeah. Hollywood message.com. That's the name you
I own
right.
That,
yeah. Would you put that movie as maybe a liberal propaganda movie?
Well, what I was going to do in that website, which I probably still will, it's coming one day. Coming to a website near you. We're going to... I was thinking on a litmus test, you're testing the acidity of a fluid.
You're testing the acidity.
Yeah, when you take a litmus paper.
How acidic and bitter the liberals are.
Well, right. So if you stick the paper in, a 1 would be an acid that would burn right through your finger like that.
Right.
And a 14, which is the highest base of alkaline, would also burn you up.
Right.
So, but a 7 is right in the middle. Tap water is a 7.
Right, because
it's right in the middle.
And they neutralize it like that on purpose because it would it would eat
God.
It would eat the pipes.
Oh, you're saying that if you had acidic water, that's not good for the pipes.
Right, and so the government adds lye to it.
Or vinegar, whatever.
To neutralize. Now that's what I heard. They small amounts to neutralize it.
Okay, or fluoride, whatever. So,
and I have a picture here.
That
I showed Carrie, and this is why we have fluoride. Our teeth in America are beautifully white.
There are conspiracy theorists out there that believe that the fluoride in the water is for mind control.
And another movie you should own would be Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb.
Oh, but he's talking about the precious bodily fluids. Oh my gosh! Rush loves that. He loves talking about precious bodily fluids.
That's
got to be his favorite movie of all time.
I just realized
he's talking about Dr. Strangelove.
And let me tell you what,
precious bodily fluids.
I love the character, the former Nazi.
That's right.
German Nazi character.
Played by Peter Sellers. I didn't know until recently that Peter Sellers plays 3 different characters in that movie.
Oh, come on. Are you serious? I knew it.
Peter Sellers plays the President of the United States, the bald guy.
Right.
The one that says, "Are you meaning to tell me that we have no way of turning back those nukes?" And then Peter Sellers also plays the Nazi who says, "No, we have no way."
Right. And so he says, "Okay, get." Who
else does he play? He plays the British guy. No, not the British guy. Who does he play? He plays the president. He plays the Nazi guy.
He calls Russia, and he says, "Yeah, Vlad. Yeah, no, it's a big mistake. I know, but we can't turn him back. I just want to let you know. I mean, no. I know. Yeah, we didn't create the cancel button. We can't."
They had a doomsday device.
Right.
The doomsday device.
No, don't set the doomsday device.
No, they have no control over it. Once it's set,
it's done.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but the doomsday device is what really that's one of the best. It is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It's great.
It is. I try to get the wife to sit down and watch it.
It's awesome.
She loves Patton. The movie Patton.
Oh, that was a
General
really good
Patton.
movie too.
You talk about another one you need to own in your collection.
That one you need to own. Yeah, that's one of those movies where you there's somebody that really did something with his life. I mean, it's just really.
And I was reading a conspiracy theory thing.
Yeah, I seen that too.
At the end,
it seems very plausible.
How Patton died by a mysterious car wreck in mysterious. In Europe. He just
right after the war ended.
Right. It's where'd he go?
There was a car wreck, and he died. And it was like literally 2 months after the war ended or something?
They're saying that the American government might have had something to do with it.
Yeah, there's definitely some credible.
So when you watch the movie, though, you're going to witness an actor who would never receive an award because he literally is Patton. George C. Scott is Patton.
Yeah.
He's not acting. He is Patton.
Yeah, there were people.
When I meet Patton in heaven, standing right next to him will be George C. Scott.
No, it's the same person.
Oh. Yes.
No, there are people that knew Patton really well that said that George C. Scott just nailed that thing.
It's amazing. Like, I love just watching him be. We need men.
He was a real man.
Man.
He's one of those guys that even back then, back in the 40s, they called it what he did and the way he behaved controversial.
No.
These days, he would have been completely crucified by the liberals.
Oh, Hollywood probably wouldn't release a movie like that.
Well, no, I'm not talking about George C. Scott.
You're talking about
I'm talking about Patton himself.
Yeah,
Patton. They said back in the 40s he was Patton came out in the 60s. Was that 60? 1960?
The movie. Yes.
Yeah. See, the movie was so well done that we can't even distinguish between the movie and the real life. So, anyway, it was a documentary. They had a camera following Patton around, and it wasn't released until 60.
Right. Well, 1970. Yeah, just
70.
Yeah, at the end of the 60s.
Okay.
But Patton died. Right, you said right after the war.
Yeah, like 2 months after the war ended, he was dead. Car wreck.
December 21st, 1945, in Heidelberg, Germany.
Didn't even make it to 1946. Like, the war didn't end until fall of 45 or something, right?
Yeah, best known for his flamboyant character.
You can't use the word flamboyant and General Patton in the same See,
well, this is
his name's George S. Patton, and then there's George C. Scott that played George S. Patton. That's why I'm getting them confused. But,
okay. Well, this is on Wikipedia, and
so when they use the word flamboyant,
they did that on purpose because the people who run Wikipedia and the people who are allowed free reign of editing and undoing your edits are themselves flamboyant.
Well, I will tell you this. Getting back to HollywoodMessage.com, the movie Patton would get somewhere in the very low numbers. If the low numbers were right-wing friendly.
Right.
Very low numbers.
Right.
Although you could make an argument that when he got... when they showed the scene where he slapped the soldier for being a coward...
Yes!
And it ended up causing him to have to apologize to the whole platoon and all that crap during a war.
How is that possible that you would do that? Right.
But anyway, no, even through all that, I think the message was clear. It would get a low number on my litmus test. What was the other movie you were saying before that? That had a liberal message. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somebody rewind. Go ahead and rewind. Rewind this show.
Okay, I'm on the wiki right now, and it says that that Patton's chief of staff, Hobart Gay. I don't. Yeah. No, he's not gay. That's his name, Hobart Gay.
Okay. Is that like Gaylord Fokker?
Yes, exactly. See, back in the day. No, okay. So Hobart Gay invited him on a pheasant hunt near his home to lift his spirits. I don't know why he's down in spirits. He had plenty of spirits he loved to drink. So Patton and Gay were riding in Patton's '38 Cadillac, staff car driven by Private First Class Horace L. Woodring, when they stopped at a railroad intersection.
Okay.
To allow a train to pass. Observing derelict cars along the side of the road, spoke as the car crossed the railroad track. How awful war is. Think of the waste. I guess somebody got hit by the train. Woodring glanced away from the road when a 2.5-ton GMC truck, driven by a sergeant who was en route to a quartermaster depot, suddenly made a left turn in front of the car, slamming on the brakes and sharply collided at low speed.
What?
Gay and Thompson were only slightly injured in the crash, but Patton has not been able to... Patton died. They're saying that he hit his head on the glass partition in the back seat of the car. Hold on.
That is really odd.
3 people in the car. And rear-ended or crashed or something happened.
Hold on. Maybe you visualized it better than I did when you were reading it. So he's stopped at a railroad crossing. There's a train there, so they're stopped.
Right.
Where did the truck come from?
They're saying that the truck...
made a sharp left?
Yeah, spoke as a car crossed the railroad tracks. How awful war is. Think of the waste. And then there was a 2.5-ton GMC truck driven by a sergeant. So they're in Germany at a railroad crossing at another military vehicle?
Oh, well, I mean, it was probably common, I guess. The war just ended.
Yeah, I guess. Made a sharp left turn in front of the car. Woodring slammed on the brakes and turned...
Wait, was the car moving? I thought it was stopped.
This is an awful article. I need to get in and redo this. Well, apparently...
You're not flamboyant enough.
I am not flamboyant enough to be able to edit these articles. However, apparently they went on their way after the train went. See, I got to interpret Wiki for you. So they went on their way as the train was over... And as they were driving, a military truck coming at them made a sharp left turn, colliding with them at low speed. It says at low speed.
That's very odd. Sounds like somebody hit him in the head with a hammer and say, "Oh, that was from the glass partition."
Oh.
He got hit in the head with a baseball bat.
Hold on.
He was murdered. Clearly murdered.
Clearly. No, he didn't die at the scene.
Oh, right. He didn't die right away.
He was in compression, fracture, lower neck, cervical problem, paralyzed from the neck down. Spent 12 days in traction. And then...
That's right. He was paralyzed. I forgot about that.
He died in his sleep of pulmonary edema and congestive heart failure.
Now, anyway...
There you go.
It's clear.
Know the rest of the story.
Now you know. So that's patent. So,
hey, how about some of these sound clips? I got a couple more left.
Let's talk more about the
military guys. So you know Bill O'Reilly.
I know a little bit.
If you listen to our show, you know our take on him.
Which is that he is a charlatan,
sellout.
He claims to be slightly conservative, which back when I used to be a Bush supporter, I was like, dude, you're 100% conservative because you're blasting and bashing these liberals. But now I found out that what he really is, now that I've gained more and more knowledge and wisdom, is his sole purpose is to outrage and troll everybody.
Right.
Both sides.
Right.
He'll say things that he knows is going to get him nasty letters from both sides. And he doesn't care. He knows if he's getting an equal amount of nasty letters from both sides, that's going to give him the widest viewing audience.
And it still baffles me to this day.
He's a troll.
Yeah, he is a troll. There's no question about it. But I'm dumbfounded to this day that the news media and the left media is all over this Bill Cosby thing, yet Bill O'Reilly and his incident was swept under the rug quicker than you can say, sweep it under the rug.
So, first of all, do we know? Do the people listening know what happened with Bill Cosby?
Well, Bill Cosby is being accused of roofing. Apparently, the victims...
Date rape drug.
Date rape, well, which I don't know what it would have been back then. I mean, this is 30 years ago.
Funky Cole Medina? Or
yes! You should own that album.
Love Potion number 9.
Number 9. So apparently, they're claiming that they were at a party at his house or even at the Playboy Mansion. They're claiming there, too. There's 25 women that claim that they woke up naked with Bill Cosby, or maybe they were with him at once throughout the night, and then they woke up and they didn't have any clothes on, and they couldn't figure out why. And so they're saying that he raped them and all kinds of crazy things, and the media, the news media, loves this.
Well, first of all of these incidences would have happened many, 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 many years ago, which means there's all the time in the world to have brought this up. I believe that this is all related to all the racial tensions that are happening with Ferguson and all that. I think this is a conspiracy.
But Bill Cosby's black, though.
Right. But if you ever listen to some of the things he says, he is the old school, really old school...
Republican.
He's Republican, conservative, but he doesn't come out with conservative talking points. What he does is he talks about family values that when you listen to him, if you know anything about conservatism and anything about liberalism, when you listen to what he believes that children should be doing and what they're not doing and what they're doing wrong and what they should be doing right, it's all about getting back to conservatism and away from liberalism.
Family values, like his show, The Cosby Show, would be like an image, if you will, of what he believes, raised in a family and life should be.
And it's a huge threat to liberals today because he's not just some guy spouting off against the liberal lifestyle today or liberal ideology. He's black.
Right.
And by him saying that and him railing against their utopia that they're trying to create is a huge threat to them, because he knows that a black voice, especially somebody with the kind of fame that he's had over the years, and the fact that he's a comedian, which means he can entertain people while he's explaining this and teaching them.
Right.
Huge threat. So I guess with regards to Ferguson and the war, the new race war that the liberals are trying to wage right now and start and instigate, that they're actually heading Bill Cosby off of the pass by neutralizing him before he has any chance of stamping out the fire that they're trying to light.
I can see it clearly.
Yeah.
And speaking, and the reason why I brought up Bill Cosby is this week, and I'll get back. Don't worry, folks. I'm not veering off too far. This week, Bill Cosby was doing a show. Apparently, he still works the circuit.
Yeah, he's doing stand-up.
Yeah. He was in Canada, and a protest outside.
Which, of course, that was
right, with signs.
They were bussed in.
All right. Oh, they were bussed in.
Duh.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
And they showed a sign that said, rape is not a joke. That's what the sign said. Rape is not a joke.
So, I see what they did there. I see what you did there.
So, are they making a joke by playing on the word joke?
So is it irony that it's kind of a clever sign?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But the problem is there's certain level of cleverness. That's what I refer to as banal.
Yeah, not witty.
Well, if you look up the word banal, which is anal with a B on the front of it, it's not really exciting. It's not creative. It's just boring.
Right. So you'd find this word banal in the Urban Dictionary, probably. So
I wouldn't look it up there.
No. So in the show, when Bill Cosby was at the show doing his stand-up, apparently a woman got up, got a drink at the bar, whatever, and as she was coming back to her seat, Bill Cosby asked her a question in passing and said, do you want a drink or something? And she's like, no, I already have one. And then he said, you better be careful drinking that around me.
Awesome. It's like it's like a sarcastic parody of the accusations against you.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So Bill, I don't know the depth or the breadth of Bill O'Reilly, and I just know that he is definitely harassed his employees at one time.
Oh, you're talking about the accusations against him.
O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Sexually.
So, well, here's the
question. And it was recorded on the girl had it on recorded. It was recorded. You could probably still find that.
I think anywhere. I heard it. A long time ago, I think I heard it. He was getting vulgar.
Oh, he was
really vulgar.
She worked for him, then quickly was fired, and nobody knows if she was paid or not.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that was it. She was done away with.
Well, that's why it went away.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that there's some hypocrisy here?
I don't know what is here, but it blows my mind that the media, in their wisdom, if you will, on choosing what story lives and what story dies, you've got to look for the agenda.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Bill O'Reilly shouting vulgarities at possible ex-girlfriend and roofie raping people.
Yeah.
But we're
there's
assuming
a small difference.
This is a little small difference. I do know girls that would rather get roofie raped than to be made to cry. Verbally. If you verbally make a girl cry, they're like, man, I just wish I was just
roofied.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't even know about it.
Just roofie
me. Well, and then MSNBC got two of the accusers of Bill Cosby together on the show to meet each other. And they were embracing, hugging, crying. It was an Oprah moment.
And this was on Bill O'Reilly?
No, this is on MSNBC. Now getting back to Bill O'Reilly.
Okay.
Sorry, if you haven't taken your ADD medication.
Yeah, we're all ADHD'd right now.
There is nothing I can do about it. My mom was texting me.
Now, this is a huge ADHD moment.
2 different conversations at the same time. The other all alternating throughout it. I said, "What are you doing?"
It's not ADHD if you can do it and not mix them up.
Well, she was mixing them all up. I said, "I can't do this." She made fun of me that I couldn't do it, and I said, "This ADD texting is not legal when you're doing it to me."
It's not legal. You can get fined for that. Especially while you're driving.
This week, the FBI has also said that if you are on your phone in public, they're allowed to listen to you.
Oh, that's got to be a bunch of crap.
They said in public, it was a statement, they said if you're in public on your phone, we're allowed to listen in.
Wait, listen in on what?
Your phone call.
That is total crap.
Yeah, of course it is.
That is the most horrible ruling. There was no judge involved here, though.
Of course not. I think Eric Holder was involved. Somewhere.
That is the biggest crap. That's like saying, you know what that's like saying? If you open a letter in public, we're allowed to steal that letter, read it, photocopy it, keep the copy,
hold on.
give it back to you. Because you opened it in public.
Well, you're going to also have to explain to some of these folks what a letter is.
Oh,
and opening an envelope in public.
Yeah, there's this thing back in the day called the Postal Service.
See, but that's where we get the term postal.
Oh,
you've never heard of somebody going postal? How come we don't hear about mass murders anymore in the Postal Service?
Well, there's not enough people. It's a numbers game.
Oh, right. So are we ever going to get...
They all got killed off.
Are we ever going to get to Bill O'Reilly? Yes, we will.
Oh, I didn't realize we're still on that.
We haven't completed it. Real quick, folks.
If we finished Howard Dean... That is so ADHD.
Who?
That is... Oh, no.
So on Bill O'Reilly's show, they had Ralph Peters, who is a Colonel Ralph Peters, on the show. And O'Reilly posed this question to him. He said, how do you get these guys if you're in charge? Meaning these Muslims, the terrorists. How do you get these guys if you're in charge, say you're the president? How do you do this? And this is what the colonel said.
Straightforward. 1, you accept that you are in a war. 2, you name the enemy, Islamist terrorist. 3, you get the lawyers off the battlefield and out of the targeting cell. You accept there will be collateral damage and you do not apologize for it. You do not nation build. You don't try to hold ground. You go wherever in the world the terrorists are and you kill them. You do your best to exterminate them, and then you leave, and you leave behind smoking ruins and crying widows. If in 5 or 10 years they reconstitute and you've got to go back, you go back and do the same thing, and you never send American troops into a war you don't mean to win.
He said you leave smoking widows and crying ruins. Wait.
No. Smoking ruins and crying widows. Folks,
that is an image right there.
That is they should be calling our military
my favorite
the Black Widow.
Well, my favorite
the Widowmaker.
The Widowmakers, yeah. No, my favorite thing that he said is you have to accept collateral damage and don't apologize for it. I mean, do you know what we were doing to Tokyo during World War II? And I don't think that we have to apologize for that.
Well, and
it's what happens in war.
Right.
It happened. It's done.
And
we shook hands. We said, "Nice war, buddy." It's just like wrestling.
Right, we're done.
You try to maim each other out there, and after it's done, you shake hands and say, "You know what? That was a good wrestling match. Good job. I lost, or I won, you lost. Whatever it is, good match." And you go your separate ways, and you don't apologize for whatever the hell you did during that match. War is like that times 1,000.
Right.
You're killing thousands and sometimes millions and millions of people. And, of course, there's going to be lots of collateral damage. Women and children could be killed even though they're not targeted. They shouldn't be targeted. But
they're not targeted, but ISIS will put their weapons and hide in schools and hospitals.
And that's when we kill women and children to get to a legitimate target. And we're not going to apologize for that, and we shouldn't, but we do, and that's why we lose.
Right.
Period.
Right, absolutely. Did you get that email? My dad sent out an email.
Probably not, because I haven't got one in a while.
Chain thing. As long as it's not too often, it's fine. But it was a letter from a Marine that was stationed over in Iraq, that his job is to sit like in a rock in a hidden position and watch for the guys that are, they got a name for it, but the guys that are transferring back and walking back and forth to get food and supplies to the terrorists that are the cells that are underground.
Okay.
So if you got cells that are underground, I mean,
so it's like UPS.
Yes.
For the terrorists.
Yes, the UPS for the terrorists.
Okay.
So if you're a terrorist, an organization, and you're underground and hidden so that the Air Force doesn't bomb you or the Marines don't get you, you still have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You still need water. You need supplies.
You need supplies, right, right.
So there'll be 1 and 2 guys that'll carry things. Oh, they call them mules. The mules.
Okay.
And these mules, these men, carrying supplies, he sits in the mountains and watches for them, and then calls out the coordinates, and then the Air Force comes in and drops a couple of
blows
bombs.
A bunch of people up, yeah.
Yeah, some bunker busters.
Oh, so they're just watching them to see where they go, and they're hitting the bunkers.
Right.
That's a good way to do it.
And so in this letter he was writing, and folks, I don't know if it was a real Marine. I don't know if it was even a real letter. But the terms and the words that he used were very military terms, things that I would understand, and Kerry would understand because we're in the military. Mm-hmm. They have a whole other different language.
Lots of acronyms.
Correct.
Lots.
So, but the thing that he talked about were how he had to work with the Muslims on the other side, on the good side, if you will, the culture, those people that lived there. And he just talked about how backwards these people lived, what they accepted as okay and what wasn't okay, and the fact that they live in dirt and they're okay with that. They don't shower for weeks and months at a time.
And maybe they're not capable of doing that. Maybe they don't have the means. I mean, if I lived in the Amazon forest completely away from civilization, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go pretty long without taking a shower.
Probably, but the big problem that he saw, and I can clearly believe this because this has gone out throughout history. In our last show, we talked about this. If you go get the movie, buy the movie America, A World Without Her by Dinesh D'Souza, phenomenal. These men in the Middle East still to this day are rearing their sons at 7 years old to kill. That's what you do. You eat, you sleep, you kill. You war. That's all you do. You do nothing else. Because there's nothing else to do.
Like you're taught from the earliest days that that you were born to die.
Right. Yeah, you were born to fight a war, and you are only a man when you steal, plunder, kill, and receive more goods. Like now I've got more stuff because I killed and I stole it from that other guy.
Oh, they're doing it that way. We're not talking about jihad. We're talking about everything.
Everything. Every aspect of their life. And you can go throughout history and you can see the difference and the exceptionalism of America versus the entire history of the Middle East, Europe, that part of the world. You'll see the warring nations, the taking over of nations, the destruction of other nations to have more. You don't serve, you don't give, you don't produce. You just take from that other guy. Now you got more. If he's got 5 wives and you have none, but you're able to kill him, those wives are now yours.
And it could be that way with anything. If you don't want to farm for your food, you wait till that guy's done harvesting all of his crops, and you go and kill him and take his crops.
Right. And so America is the complete opposite, where we, as service, give to then receive in the end. Well, this is still happening in those nations over there, all over Europe. They're taking out France as we speak, one business at a time, and France is cowering down to the bully on the block.
And I want to know what they're talking about. I was reading some articles about all this terrorist stuff going on in Europe and France, specifically with the terrorist attack this past week. They said, the terrorists said, we did this because of it's justified. What we did to them is justified because of what they do to us.
Right.
Oh, what is that?
And that's something
that was the quote. What is he talking about? I need more specifics. Honestly, I think it was a cop-out.
Oh.
I think that he just said that because he knew that would get the guilt, the European guilt factor up.
Okay.
And it would cause people to cower down and be like, well, it's true, we do so many bad things to them. When in reality, the truth is they did it because as a Muslim, they are required to either convert or kill.
Right.
And they've given up on the conversion on a mass scale. On an individual scale, if they're able to capture somebody and they can convert them to Islam, cool, they won't kill them. But on a mass scale, in an entire community full of Jews or Christians or any large community of non-Muslims, they just kill on the as massive a scale as possible. But in particular with the French thing, they were killing the people of the newspaper as retaliation for making fun of Muhammad.
Well, I forgot. I'm looking at one of the articles that we had in the stack of stuff, and one of the publishers, her name is Stephanie Chardinier, so I guess her nickname was Sharb. Born in 1967 and died just last week in 2015. And her quote to all of the Muslim hate world is, "I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees."
Oh, that was her.
That was her quote.
Well, there you go.
According to the initial reports, 3 gunmen killed 10 staffers.
So where'd the other 2 deaths come from?
Cops.
What? They killed the 2 cops. Okay.
This goes back to what we were talking about. The cops didn't have any guns.
Yeah. I didn't watch the movie or the video. I'm really sorry that I am a person of the media, giving news to you guys as you listen, and I did not watch the video, but I don't know if I could have. It would have been too painful. But the reports I heard was that a cop begged for his life before being shot.
Shut up.
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No!
Yeah, there's a video of a terrorist, one of the killers, in the thing, going up to a cop. He begged for his life, and then they shot him.
Oh!
And it was just like lickety-split like that. Without any remorse whatsoever. And I just was like, you know what? I will be too enraged to even watch it. I'm not even going to look for the...
And something that we were talking about before the show started today, and my sentiment's exactly, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Earlier this week, I was warned by a close family member, if you will, to be careful of what I say on the radio show.
Okay.
And you and I talked earlier about this. We may be targets.
Yeah, early before the show, I said, we're on that path.
We're heading down the road, and I mean Rush Limbaugh. I mean, obviously, he's certainly a target already, target of many people, if you will.
Right.
But I have to get this information out to you. So if that makes me a target, I can't control that. I can only control myself. The humor, the joking of Muhammad kissing another man that's wearing a T-shirt with the name of the newspaper.
And Brian's describing one of the cartoons that showed up on that Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah,
Hebdo.
and
Hebdo.
The word in the picture says l'amour, which is love.
Okay.
In French.
Just in France.
Just only in France. So, but this makes people of Muslim faith kill, which is beyond me. Well,
it's been explained. Somebody, I can't remember where I heard this. It was just some people, I don't know if it was Muslims or people talking about Muslims, said that they would rather kill and die for doing the killing than to tolerate listening to anybody say anything bad about Muhammad.
Right. So with that,
that's what we're living with. That is the world we live in today, where there is 2 billion people in this world, which is almost a third, more than a third, almost a third.
Yeah, we're about 7.
More than a quarter.
We're at 7 billion. Something
more
like
than a quarter of the entire human population is willing to. And now I know what I'm going to hear. Oh, they're not all like that. I'm stepping in. I'm stepping in because if I say, okay, a quarter of the people are going to be willing to kill in defense of somebody exercising their free speech to say something bad about Muhammad. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of liberals out there. They're like, oh, you can't make a blanket statement like that. But, okay, so maybe it's not. Maybe there's a lot of Muslims out there that are like, well, you know what, I'd rather you not say anything bad about Muhammad. I'd rather you not. And I'd rather you not make a picture of him kissing another man or with a turban on his head that looks like a bomb or whatever. I'd rather you not do that. Yeah, there's a picture out there. That was a long time ago.
Right, but
I'd rather you not do that, okay. But I'm not going to kill you for doing it, even though I am a Muslim. But forget that for a second. What about the fact that we know that it's a policy of a lot of Muslims out there to kill all infidels, or kill as many infidels as you can? I'm just fed up with it.
Well, and they're calling it out on the wiki again. I can't help it. I'm addicted to punishment by going to Wikipedia. 1.6 billion and approximately 23% of the world's population. So a quarter, 23%.
Just under a quarter.
Muslim.
Right. And, we played that audio before of the woman, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, it's okay. But she said...
It's not about the ones that are not killing. The ones that aren't radical.
They're silent. The ones that are silent.
They're irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, I wish we had that audio queued up. But yeah, all the ones that you say are peaceful. Gosh, I was listening to Hannity just the other day, and he had somebody on that was going off on him about blanket statements against Muslims when so many of them are peaceful and all this stuff, and they're just irrelevant. The silent majority is irrelevant when they don't stand up and defend their version of Islam by saying that by denouncing these people. They're not doing it. It's not happening. There's no denunciation of this behavior whatsoever. And if anything, I think that this is something that's being hidden by a lot of progressives out there. But I think that there is a lot of support for this, and it's being silenced.
Right. Well, and you can thank the media for being so. We played that clip earlier. For being so politically correct, so PC, and then you have the irrelevant MSNBC, who has on Howard Dean making ludicrous statements, and the panel of people there agreeing with him because they don't oppose him. If you're not opposing somebody, if somebody makes a statement and says, you are an absolute moron, and I think everybody that looks like you are morons. If you don't, I guess you could say, you can walk away and not comment on it. But, okay, that was a bad example. Howard Dean comes on and says, these terrorists are not Muslim. Okay? He's making a factual statement in his mind. He's saying it factually.
He's like, these people are not Muslims. Because if they were Muslims, they wouldn't be doing this. But that's...
And so the news media...
This doesn't make any sense.
The media, the talking heads on the panel just look at him and don't say anything.
Yeah. They're
so
part of the
that
problem, too.
means if you're sitting there watching TV, which I don't know where MSNBC is. I don't even know if they're on TV.
They're in somebody's basement somewhere.
Okay. You would see that, and if you're a low information individual or you're drinking the Kool-Aid, you may see that and say, well, that's news. It's a politician, and nobody objected to him, and he sounded like it was a fact. You might believe that.
It's just a burying of heads in the sand when you say, well, yeah, this happened, and it keeps happening, and it happens over and over again, but we'll just keep on saying the same thing. These aren't Muslims, and if you really were a Muslim, you wouldn't do this because you're supposed to be peaceful. Well, then why are we continually seeing examples over and over and over again of people doing things that are clearly not peaceful? Let me let all of you guys listening in right now on a secret about this whole peaceful religion thing that just you could take it to the bank. It will all make sense when you hear this fact about the peaceful religion of Islam. They are very, very peaceful. Very, very peaceful among other Muslims. As long as everybody in the community we're talking about is Muslim, they're fine. But they are completely intolerant if there's a member within killing distance that is not a Muslim. There's a member of the community within killing distance that's not Muslim. Peace is out the window. So when you hear peaceful religion, they're not lying. They're not saying that they are peaceful when they don't believe that they're peaceful. They're just peaceful as long as you're willing to convert to their religion of Islam.
Right.
Simple as that.
That's when they're peaceful.
And once you know that fact about the peaceful religion of Islam, then everything all makes sense then. It all makes sense after that. So, what do you think about the implications of freedom of speech or freedoms in general, civil rights, when you got a newspaper being attacked that says whatever they say that offends people?
Well, if nobody stands up for it, then we have to stand up.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
It doesn't happen automatically. And so you have to fight for it at all times. What are you typing in? You're searching for a soundbite, aren't you?
I think I got it.
You looking for the old one?
Yeah, I'm looking for the Bridget Gabriel.
Okay.
That's her name. So
you can't find it?
Silent, Brigitte.
Oh. Do you have it?
No, can't find it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But anyway, but the whole point is that we in America do have freedoms that nobody in the entire world, apparently, they don't have these similar freedoms. Human nature wants these freedoms. Nobody wants human nature. Wow. I don't know. How is it that you can go and kill and war and destroy? How is that human nature?
Well, if you believe what they believe in Islam, then that's an important part of what you do in life.
Right.
Because you have a certain belief system. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The woman on Hannity that was going off about this, she believed, and I wish I didn't know what her name was. I thought it was a producer based on her voice. But it was some guest he had on said that this is all, you shouldn't be doing blanket statements on these people just because a couple of these people did these violent acts. Here's where she went wrong, though. We're not talking about a race of people that were born Muslim. They weren't born and boom, they're Muslim. There's nothing they can do about it. We're talking about a way of life that is taught to people when they're born by their mothers, their fathers, their community leaders, and we're calling this way of life Islam.
Right.
And this way of life is a violent way of life for non-Muslims. And it's just intolerable. And we have to stand up against that. We can't. It's not bigotry to point out that we can't tolerate this kind of behavior from people of this faith anymore, because it's a way of life that is violent and that is resulting in the death of non-Muslims. It's intolerable.
Right. Well, and I mean, like we were saying before, we're turning to the point to where now it's looking like there might be a World War III. I mean, if we do not stop these Muslim terrorists where they're at now, where are they going to stop?
Well, they'll tell you that they're not supposed to stop until I shouldn't say ever, until every single man, woman, and child on earth is a Muslim
and lives under Sharia law.
Right, that's right.
So you're like, Brian, what's wrong with being a Muslim? Well, if you believe in rights for human beings in general.
If you're a feminist, you have got to be so against this religion.
And if you are a feminist and you are fine with this religion, then you need to look up some of the very, very large details of what they do to women and how they treat women.
And if you're still not super opposed to this, you're a coward.
Yes,
and you might as well not be a feminist, because you aren't even willing to have the guts to stand up for what you believe in.
Right. Well, and the thing we were talking about earlier about Obama not doing anything, and it's because he is a Muslim, and I think he really wishes to bring, if you will, the caliphate, bring it on, chaos, whatever. I mean, that's his MO. That's what he does. And so back in September 19th, 2012, Jay Carney, if you remember him, he was the press secretary. What does Rush call? Rush calls him the press boy, the boy secretary.
I don't know,
something like that. So, anyways, back in September 19th, 2012, this Charlie Hebdo magazine had published some of the anti-Islamic cartoons, and Jay Carney, during a press briefing, condemned the deeply offensive anti-Islamic cartoons that the magazine put out. So you've got the White House supporting what the Muslims believe and the Muslim faith. What we're torn here. I mean, it literally, the people who are leading this country are okay with the Muslims, maybe not so much okay with them killing as much.
They're accepting the fact that they have there's a difference between having no control over your emotions. It's like,
that's exactly what it is.
But there's a difference between having no control over your emotions and acting out violently in response to being offended. There's a difference between that and making it a policy to act out violently on things that would be construed as offensive.
Right.
There's a difference. I mean, children, when you upset them, sometimes a rambunctious child can get violent when you upset them enough. Right. But if it's just become policy to punch somebody in the face anytime they say X, Y, or Z, now you got somebody that just needs to be removed from society.
So a reporter in front of Jay Carney asks the question, or he makes a statement. He says the French government has decided to temporarily close embassies and schools in several Muslim countries because of the satirical weekly Charlie Hebdo publishing the cartoons mocking the Prophet Muhammad. And then his question to Carney is the White House concerned that those cartoons might further fan the flames in the religion?
So we have no control over their emotions.
Well, this reporter's just now made the statement that...
Does the reporter believe that these people are just animals that have no... Like, you have to...
They can't hear that.
We have some technical difficulties. Does it have a volume?
All right, now I got a lockup.
Wow, we had a lockup on the technology there. No, so my question is: does this reporter believe that that we need to create policy that ends up also creating a world where it's almost like we're so much more evolved than Muslims?
Well, we are.
And I'm getting way into the weeds here talking like this.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, we have evolved.
Let's just say we're going way into the weeds on this, but let's just say that this reporter believes that they are more intelligent, more sophisticated, all of the above, to the point where it is our responsibility to create a world with laws against speech that would prevent us non-Muslims from offending the wild animals that have no control over their emotions, who are going to act out violently.
So Jay Carney's statement, we know these images will be deeply offensive to many that have the potential
to what?
Hold on. These images will be deeply offensive to many and have the potential to be inflammatory. What?
They have the potential to be inflammatory. He's literally saying there's just too many people out there that have no control over their actions when offended.
And so here's his logic. In other words, we don't question the right of something like this to be published. We just question the judgment behind the decision to publish it. This is the White House spokeskid.
Spokeskid.
That's what
Spokeskid.
The White House spokeskid.
I have heard him call him that before. Wow. I mean, he's just flat out saying that you Muslims are children that have no control over your emotions. And that you will be inflamed to the point of acting out violently when somebody... Where is the worry about this when artists are publishing images of the crucifix, Jesus Christ dying on a cross, shoved in a vat of urine?
Yeah. Well, that was when...
I call prejudice.
Yes?
I'm calling the prejudice card. I am playing it right now. I'm putting it on the table. How is it that nobody is worried about possible inflammatory pictures of Jesus Christ dying on a cross, a.k.a. the crucifix, being portrayed in a jar of urine? How is that? Why? What is in the mind of a person that does not think that that is inflammatory? I'll tell you what's in the mind. Well, Christians don't react that way. Isn't that prejudice?
It is.
They're saying, well, all Christians, as an entire population of a religion, just they won't react that way. They're not going to react violently. Why? Because, well, let me say a very prejudiced statement. Christians don't react that way to stuff like that.
Right, and they are the religion of peace, Christianity. I would say, I mean, they're calling, these Muslims are saying they're the religion of peace, and that's just not possible.
How could it be possible when you have a world of non-Muslims that are fully well aware that anything that you do that falls under the freedom of speech that could be offensive to them is going to cause them to have an involuntary reaction that results in the death of people?
Right. It's just... Do you hear this? I mean, it's like it's really bothering me that a lot of people, maybe not the majority, but there are way too many people out there that apparently don't understand what is coming down the road. It's like we're standing in the middle of a one-lane, one-way road, and there's a giant, huge semi-truck barreling down at us at full speed. you can't just for the Muslim community to say, okay, well, we'll just get out of their way. It doesn't work. You're always in their way. You will always be in the way. If you're Christian, if you're not Muslim, you are in the way of Muslims.
Right.
You're in our way of life.
That pretty much sums it up. And we're talking about two societies. I like to talk about societies because of what I've learned from Mark Levin in his book Ameritopia, and then you got your 5,000-year leap and all that. Civilization as we know it is just something that was set up by people to make others work, to make large groups of people work together. And so you got this one society of Muslims that work together a certain way and they have their mores and they have their way of life and their laws and just the things that they think that they're supposed to do with their life. And then you have the other side, a different part of society, which would be Christians, capitalists, communists, whatever. They are incompatible because of real simple things. Well, if they're incompatible, somebody's got to be at fault. You got two sides, you put them together, and no other thing could happen except for war.
Well, let's put it to the simplest.
So who's at fault?
Put it to the simplest part. You have two children. You have two children. One child is continually beating the crap out of the other child.
Okay. So you have one that is kind of a bully.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a very, very simplistic way of putting it.
And the boy who's getting beat up says, it's my fault. I keep putting my face in front of his hand.
I keep hitting his fist with my hand.
I keep tripping, and my face goes right to his fist.
Right.
And it's not Joey's fault.
I need to stop invading the space of his fist with my face.
Now, I know he came to me this time. However, I need to move and allow him the freedom to go and do whatever he wants. And to not, walk on eggshells. Do not do anything to tick Joey off. Or, not even tick him off. Don't even look at Joey, because that might inflame him.
Yeah, we don't know what he's going to do, except we know that he has a tendency to get violent without being able to consciously stop himself.
Right.
Because he's just a reactionary that gets violent.
Right.
How the hell are we supposed to treat a society like that?
Well, Colonel Peters said, bomb them, and continue to
Well,
bomb
you got to accept that we're at war. And you have to go do everything at your disposal to eliminate. He actually used the word exterminate.
He did say exterminate.
Woo! Is that the final solution?
Whoa! That would be
wow.
If you... Oh, man, I'm having a dilemma here because I've got a problem with multiple answers.
Okay.
If you say that we are going to exterminate a culture?
That's a culture.
A culture.
Or a certain population of it's a society that operates under similar constructs.
I mean, just like they did during World War II with the Jews.
Right.
It's culture, and Hitler wanted to exterminate them. And so now you've got somebody advocating the extermination of a culture. However, I think it was a slip. I think it was the wrong word to use, because we wouldn't exterminate them if they stopped killing people.
Right. So it's kind of like giving somebody the death penalty for being convicted of murder.
Right.
You don't say, well, why are you killing that guy with the electric chair?
Why are you exterminating him with an electric chair?
Yeah, that's wrong. That's so wrong. No, he's been... So the question is Islam guilty or innocent?
Well, I think they're guilty as charged.
So then, what's the sentence?
The sentence would be electric chairs. Everywhere.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
On every corner.
Just make the whole entire area look like one of those bug lights with the rails.
Did you just call them bugs?
Well, we are using the word exterminate.
Wow. So if you have a can of Raid, shake well and do not squirt it towards the wind.
Right. You got to be down. You got to be upwind. Upwind, right.
And shoot downwind.
There you go.
Yeah, because you might be exterminated yourself.
So then the next question is, based on the fact that this whole thing happening in France, a lot of low information voters that are listening right now don't know about the dynamic that's been going on for the past couple decades, maybe longer.
Well, and they even said in the article that this is once again this magazine has been targeted.
Right. So what's been happening, and I've heard a lot of bad stories from London and England at large, but apparently, see, London's its own island.
Right.
You have to try to travel there. I should say England. England's its own island, so you have to. Well, they do have that train that goes under the strait.
The Trunnel.
Trunnel. Okay, so you can take the Trunnel.
Train plus tunnel equals Trunnel.
Is it Trunnel or Chunnel? CH.
I'm not English.
You know?
I'm American. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's the way we pronounced it. We called it the Trunnel.
So what's been happening is that the French have been allowing a lot of immigration of Middle Easterners,
Muslims,
most of which can be Muslim. There are a lot of Middle Easterners that are Christian and Jewish and all that, but just so happens that a large portion of them are Muslim.
Right.
They happen to be procreating at a much, much higher rate than the native French people.
Right.
And so the population of Muslims in France, and not just France, Germany, at which we have a new breaking news. For those of you listening to us right now, live or within a day of this broadcast, this is breaking news. There's a German newspaper that reprinted all the some of the cartoons from the Charlie Hebdo newspaper, republished.
We'll call it the Charlie paper.
The Charlie paper. All right, so they reprinted a lot of these cartoons. They've been firebombed today, Sunday.
And why were they firebombed?
Because they reprinted the Muslim joke cartoons. The Muhammad cartoons. So
somebody was inflamed
again,
and then had to get rid of their flame by throwing a fireball.
Oh, they were inflamed, and they said, "I got to get rid of this thing. Where I got to get rid of this?"
Which, if they knew anything, you could just buy some Preparation H. You wouldn't be inflamed anymore.
Does it put out flames?
On the whole, I believe Preparation H is a good thing.
It puts out flames.
Yes.
On the whole. If there's flames, Preparation will get rid of the flames. On the whole.
On the whole.
Okay.
In general. On the whole. Yeah.
So
apparently somebody was thoroughly inflamed.
And so they had to go ahead and flame up the German newspaper.
So this is how we're supposed to react when somebody says something. Imagine you and I, Carrie, sitting here talking BS, and I say something about your mom wearing combat boots.
Right. So I see where you're going here. To make a generalization of where you're going, does our society that allows for freedom of speech bend to adhere to their desire for us to modify our freedom of speech to outlaw parodies of or cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad?
Right.
Or the only other alternative is keep our freedom of speech and allow them to keep attacking until we finally put our foot down and go to all-out war with Islam. So what I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, you know what? Let's avoid war and let's outlaw parodies of Muhammad. I guarantee you that's coming.
This is the slippery slope, if you will.
Yeah, and they're not going to stop there.
They never stop. Once it's just like a tax. Once they implement a tax in your city to build a coliseum or a stadium, and they say, "We'll take the tax off once it's built and paid for." Nope, never has happened in the history of tax.
Yeah.
Just like this, once you kowtow down to these people, they win. If they, I tell my children all the time, you only control one person. That's yourself. These people can't control themselves, so they attempt to control everybody else around them. It's just what happens. So, in their war, if you will, in controlling the world, they will slowly, and they never stop. They never don't think you can take a lunch break on these people. While these people never take a lunch break, they're always coming at you. They will never ever stop. So, if you allow them to continually move in, they will eventually win the entire war. Right now, they're winning little battles by getting you.
They've taken over the entire country of France.
Yes,
I mean flat out.
Europe is now.
Have you heard of these no-go zones?
Yeah, I was right. Yeah, it's called no-go.
Can you imagine listening to this show right now? Put your imagination cap on. Can you imagine your town, your city where you live, having an area where the fire department, the police department, any non-Muslim pretty much is just not allowed to go?
How is that even?
Because, and you're probably wondering what's going on here. Because they've instituted Sharia law, and they basically said we don't want any law enforcement in here because we're going to enforce our own laws of Sharia law. And in order to, the only way, this is the clash of civilizations I'm talking about. The only way to make that work is to just say, all right, well, we're going to make a dotted line here, an imaginary line called a no-go zone, and we're just going to stay the hell out of there. That is a piece of territory that they have conquered.
They conquered it. Whether by war or not, it doesn't matter. They now own it because the government gave it to them.
It's no different than when Hitler was posing for pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the no-go zone in 1942?
For the French.
1941?
Yeah, maybe even earlier.
41 or 42. Yeah, that was the French no-go zone back then. Right. Now they have a new no-go zone, and that is where the Muslims have their Sharia law in France. I can't believe it. It's gone. Right. I want to see a map reflect that. Don't call it France or whatever. We're going to call these little pockets. We're going to have a dotted outline. It's going to be colored different on the map, and there's going to be a title in it, and you could just call it Muhammad Land.
Right, Muhammad Land. And you could even charge if you wanted. Because you gotta raise money somehow.
Full circle. You gotta go full circle on that.
Benjamin Franklin once said he was the master, the father of quotes, if you will. Like he's nothing.
There's people who said that's a good quote. I bet you Ben Franklin said that.
If you claimed every quote you said that you know, and after every time you said it, you said, "Yeah, Ben Franklin said that." You might be right 99% of the time.
There's this one quote I heard.
Might be the one I'm getting ready to read.
Okay, the quote I heard was, Ben Franklin, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
He did say that. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. However, another quote of his, he said, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety.
Yeah. I've heard so many different versions of that, but yeah, I mean that's a version that
So
I've heard
the whole point is that if you think that you're going to buy safety by giving up your freedoms,
right.
certain things.
I'm
trying to relate it to the Muslims. I mean,
no, I'll tell you right now. I will feel safer if I allow a law to be passed that outlaws or abridges the freedom of speech to outlaw speech that would blaspheme the Prophet Muhammad.
Right. So what we need to do is we need to take the Constitution and the very first amendment that the founders wrote in the Constitution for a reason, because if you said anything bad against the king, you would probably be beheaded. The freedom of speech. The ability to speak freely your mind without impediment of the government. Okay. So if you're at work and you feel that you have freedom of speech and you want to cuss out your boss and he fires you, no. This is freedom of speech from the government, not from your boss. So don't say that Smyth Radio told you to cuss him out. Okay.
Well, you can.
You could.
Just tell him to make sure you listen in.
Right. And he
to
can
prove it. He's got to prove it.
Exactly.
There you go.
So we're going to alter the First Amendment.
Which, by the way, is... Can I read it?
Go ahead. Sure.
The actual text is, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Right. So that's where you're allowed to gather together in groups, organizations, whatever, and speak your mind freely.
Yeah, free exercise of speech.
I mean, there's a man named David Duke. For those of you in Westwood, David Duke is the head of the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, I was going to say, I am totally in Westwood right now.
The head of the Ku Klux Klan political movement. He is the KKK political movement. He can speak freely about his ideas that he wishes to revert back to slavery or whatever.
And there should be consequences for your any actions, including when you exercise your freedom of speech. For instance, if you work for a private organization and your boss doesn't like what you said, he can fire you.
Right.
Or whatever, you write something really stupid on your resume, they could not hire you for that. So freedom of speech is pretty much saying that there's Congress and later pretty much no legislature can write a law that abridges your freedom of speech.
So if you say this, if you lose the election,
that's allowed.
That's allowed.
Yes, you're allowed to not vote for somebody based on some crazy things. Oh, could you imagine the defense? Hey, I'm allowed to do and say whatever I want, including
wow.
Oh, and so you better vote for me, or else you are abridging my freedom of speech.
Right. So we should have voted for Howard Dean as president because
if by not voting for him, we are not upholding his freedom of speech.
Well, this is what the this is the twisted logic of liberals.
I could definitely imagine them trying to put a guilt trip on voters that way.
Right. Another article that's part and parcel of all of this. There's an organization in America that has the freedom of speech. The organization is called CAIR, CARE. And CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations.
That's funny. Listen to that phrase. I love that. American Islamic Relations. It's literally saying, it's distinguishing that America is one thing, Islam is another, and they're two separate things. And you need an organization
called CARE
in order to have relations between them. I love it.
It's beautiful.
Council. You need a council in order to maintain relations between America and Islam. I like it. So don't sit here and say America is the largest Islamic nation. Who said that?
Obama.
Oh, you don't have the soundbite to that, do you?
Yeah, I do.
He's queuing it up.
The United States and the West generally, we have to educate ourselves more effectively.
Do we?
On Islam. And
we do.
One of the points I want to make is that if you actually took the number of Muslims Americans, we'd be one of the largest Muslim countries in the world. And so, there's got to be a better dialogue and a better understanding between the two people.
Well, I'm glad he told us that, because without that, I don't know anything.
Better dialogue between the two peoples. Okay, so apparently CARE and the Muslim American Society, I didn't know there were two different...
They're diametrically opposed.
Okay, CARE bridges the Muslims and Americans. So...
But then there's another society called Muslim American Society. Isn't Muslim American an oxymoron?
It is.
Because if you are truly an American, you would want to defend the U.S. Constitution with your life.
Right.
But if you're Muslim, you have to hate the Constitution.
Oh, yeah, because it gives women the freedom to do as they
Oh, man, you stepped in the weeds there, because liberals will come out and say, not originally.
I know. By England and the king.
There was suffrage.
There was suffrage by the leftists and the communists and the Muslims. Still suffrage.
Oh, there's suffrage forever.
Christian Republican conservatives don't have suffrage.
So anyway, what were we saying?
CARE and the Muslims, the society, are seeking clarity after the UAE designates them on the terrorist list.
Interesting. Before we go on, what is the UAE?
United Arab Emirates.
It's a country.
Yeah.
Okay.
United Arab Emirates.
So the UAE puts them on a terrorist list.
Designates two top U.S. Muslim organizations as terrorist groups on Saturday, drawing shock and confusion from representatives.
During prep, we talked about this.
Yeah.
And I am just now realizing that a Middle Eastern country just designated the biggest Muslim American organizations as terrorist groups.
Right. Yeah.
Wow!
Is that not... how is this not front page everywhere?
That just blew my mind! A Middle Eastern country designated two American groups as terrorist groups.
Right.
Wow.
And what's amazing to me is I found this article on the Huffington Post.
Interesting. So what kind of clarity are they seeking?
Well, they want to know why he did this. And the statement from CARE, from their spokesperson, Corey Saylor, told the Huffington Post by telephone. Because, CARE and Huffington, they have each other on speed dial.
You would think that they would just text each other, but whatever.
Right. So CARE said, you see across the board groups reacting with shock. It's truly bizarre.
Why?
Because... I don't know.
I'm almost thinking that CARE and the
CARE published a response.
Oh, okay.
On its website Sunday, today, breaking news, calling on the United Arab Emirates to reevaluate the list, which also names Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, and remove organizations that peacefully promote civil and democratic rights, and that oppose terrorism when it occurs, wherever it occurs, and whoever carries it out.
Did you just say that CARE and the Muslim American... What's the other organization called? Muslim American what?
Muslim American... it's a Muslim American Society. MAS. It's called MAS.
Are you saying that they say that they oppose terrorism?
CARE is saying that they say. So CARE is speaking on behalf of MAS, Muslim American Society. MAS.
But they're saying they oppose this terrorism.
CARE is claiming they oppose the terrorism, yes.
Wow. Well, that's kind of surprising.
Well, I think they're saying that just so they get off the list.
Oh, they want to get off the list!
They're on the blacklist.
They're like, we knew America wouldn't do it, but now, we got UAE putting us on a terrorist list.
So Saylor said, CARE is not yet communicated with the UAE's government, but is seeking clarification on why these designations were approved.
Because they're a terrorist organization.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And Kara also said, the message the UAE is sending is that people who engage in peaceful political activism, it's a bell whistle right there, dog whistle right there, will be designated as terrorists. I think that's a terrible message for the youth who want, Sailor said, you want youth, young people to see that working within the system?
If it's a Muslim organization, yes!
Shocked and the Muslim Society spoke out.
Oh, what'd they say?
That it was, we are shocked and perplexed by the news, and we're calling upon the U.S. government to investigate the report.
Well, they should want that because, they have a good chance of getting it overturned by the Muslim-led U.S. government.
Well, yeah, we've
already established that the Muslims have infiltrated the U.S. government via Obama.
Did we say that early on?
I think so.
We talked about it in show prep. But
did we not establish that after we went on air?
Well, we're doing it once again if we did earlier.
Okay. If we're repeating ourselves, we're sorry.
Well, no, it's worth repeating.
Yes.
Multiple times. The Muslim Brotherhood community society has infiltrated America via Obama.
Right. Since he is a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
It's been established over and over again. Even they say, well, he was born a Muslim. He was raised and went to Muslim schools when he was in Kenya.
Right.
And so, and he's got a Muslim name.
Well, he was born in that.
Oh, his father's a Muslim too.
Right.
The one that he claims is his father. But anyway,
right.
That's another story.
If you are born into a Muslim family,
or your father is
Muslim. Right. It doesn't matter about your mom because they don't care about women. Women are they're expendable. They're like animals, like dogs or cats or whatever.
That's not Brian saying that.
No, that's the Muslims saying that.
Yeah, Brian is speaking. He's saying what they say, what they believe.
Correct.
Right.
So if you are born into this family, your dad's a Muslim, or you're born into a Muslim family, you are considered by Muslims to be Muslim for life.
Yep, pretty much.
And if you attempt to change your religion or get out of the religion, there is only one remedy in the Quran to fix that.
Well, is it with a sword, or is it a different way, or is it optional?
I don't know if it gives the options.
Because I do know a lot of people have their hands bound behind their back, their head placed on a stump.
Right.
And then they use like that real thin, long, curved saber sword.
Yeah, it's like the sword that
you cut watermelons with.
Right.
Yeah.
In the summertime.
No, I mean a samurai would.
Oh, samurai. You know the little guys, the Shriners that run around in those little cars?
Well, they have a much broader sword. It's like a big, it looks like
it's like the one they used in the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
That and also like Aladdin.
Aladdin, yeah.
But no, the ones that I've seen are a thin sword. The whole thing is curved, but it's long and thin. The whole thing is about the same width all the way across.
Okay.
And it chops through the head through the neck, I should say.
Right.
So quickly and cleanly, it's as if it didn't even touch anything.
Like butter.
Not even like butter, like air.
Whoa!
And their head just plops off, and that's it. But anyway, that's what happens.
They've perfected that art.
Well, it must be very, very sharp sword. So when that happens, that would be the result of you being convicted of a very petty crime, such as, being in the wrong place and not Muslim.
Right.
Right. So that's what happens.
And not to drop a bomb too early. We have a friend, a guy we know that lives in the Middle East, and he is Middle Eastern, and he married an American woman.
Okay.
And travels to our church here in America, and stays for a few weeks or whatever. And his whole mission in life is to spread Christianity amongst the Muslims.
Man, you know what? God bless him. God bless him. Because that... And here's the thing. I'm
dying to talk to her.
Well, I admire it because it's like, okay, obviously he's not going to personally succeed by himself in such a lofty goal. However, by him just doing it, not giving up, and plodding forward and keep on going, he's probably going to inspire others who are then, if they keep doing what he's doing, will inspire others, and it ends up being kind of a snowball effect. But I just hope and pray that it doesn't end the way we are almost certain will end, which is that the only way to truly remedy Muslim violence is through war.
Right.
And
right. And so what he's I'm getting this secondhand, but apparently when he's at work and they live there in the Muslim community, people know he's a Christian, and people that he works with, they'll secretly come up to him and ask him about Christianity.
Interesting.
And then just say,
"Well, that's good to hear."
Hey, don't put my name out there, man.
It's almost like being a liberal in America, or being in America and finding out that somebody's conservative.
Oh,
weird. It's almost like they whisper it. They're like, "Oh my gosh,
you're not gonna believe this."
You listen to Rush Limbaugh.
I can't believe that.
You listen to Rush Limbaugh.
I can't believe I almost forgot about this. At work, I'll download Rush Limbaugh's shows onto my phone, then I'll play them on my stereo while I'm working.
Okay.
Just for entertainment, show prep, education.
Well, because Brian's trying really hard to get fired.
Yes, that too. Well, I work so late at night though. Well, and there's nobody around me, and most of the guys are young kids, and they can't hear the words.
No, they can. They
hear the sound.
They hear it. They don't listen.
Right.
Hear and listen.
They hear the sound, but they can't. One kid said, "Where do you listen to this at?" I was at AM radio. He said, "What?" I said, AM.
He didn't know.
If you hit the band on your radio, you can switch to AM.
He's like, was it Sirius or is it XM or FM?
No, it's AM.
AM. What's that?
He's like, idea. Isn't that what old men listen to?
Back when we were kids, they used to play music from the 20s, 30s, and sometimes 40s on radio stations on AM.
And if you want to listen to a sports game announced, you can usually listen to the announcement on AM radio.
And that was it. That was all AM was used for back then.
Right. And honestly, Rush is AM radio.
Now
without Rush Limbaugh, he has saved AM radio, if you will.
Probably, yeah.
Well, he claims that, so I believe it. But so I'm listening to Rush's show, and morning shift is coming in. It's people I've never met before are starting to come in. I'm in a different department, whatever. And this girl, who I know, her appearance, whatever, I know that she's got a girlfriend. So she's of the LGBT organization.
Okay.
And nice girl, maybe in her early 30s, black, pretty good looking. I've got no qualms. She comes around the corner, and from maybe 20 feet away.
Okay. I
mean, it's distance away, your whole kitchen away from me, and she said, "Who is that?" And she was so far away, I didn't realize. So I said, "What?" So I started walking towards her. I said, "What?" She's like, "Who is that talking?" I said, "Oh, that's Rush." And I couldn't get the SH out. She did an about face. Oh, she was also a Marine, former Marine.
Okay.
She did a complete about face and ran.
What? And?
That was it. And so I was worried.
She ran. She thought she was going straight to human resources.
Yes, I did.
She thought she was running to human resources.
I honestly did. So I started thinking about this. I was getting a little nervous. So I left the volume at the volume it was at. Maybe turned it a little bit, but I left it.
I better turn this way down.
Yes.
I'm going to have to put on sonic ear to hear this.
So I stopped myself from doing that.
My Bluetooth headphones.
I let it play, and I said to myself, okay, if they come up here and they tell me that somebody was offended by the show, I'll do one of two things. I'll either ask them, do you want me to turn it down? If they say, no, you can't play that, I'll say, okay, fine. I'll play my show. I was going to play our show.
Okay.
Which I do sometimes.
Which we're way more offensive.
Yes! So when they come to tell me to turn off my show, I just say, hey, this is me. This is my show.
My show. You are fired!
How can you... I didn't think about it. How can you tell me to turn myself off? I'm on. How do I turn myself off?
I'll just repeat the show.
Yeah,
I'll bring Carrie in, and we'll have the show right here live.
So speaking, I just ran across.
Wait, you didn't finish the story. Did she ever come back?
No, never came back.
So this could be
it's ongoing.
This could be something we'll give you an update on next week.
Updates to come.
Updates to come.
So this is Care. Care is this is why Care is upset by all of this, because back in 2011. It was accused of being a co-conspirator or joint venturer with the Holy Land Foundation case, an Islamic charity that was convicted of funding Islamic militant groups in 2008.
Is anybody surprised by this?
A federal judge denied CARE's request to be removed from the list of co-conspirators, which included 245 other groups and individuals. But the Washington Post notes that the government has never raised criminal charges against the group.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know. They never raised criminal charges, but
and
they are on the list.
So that's their defense. Hey, yeah, we have all these ties, and we were accused of having all these ties, but we've never had criminal charges pressed against us.
See?
So you shouldn't put us on the terrorist group.
See? In the words of my 18-year-old niece, I'm just saying.
She's just saying.
I'm just saying. Well, that's what the kids say nowadays, right? I'm just saying.
No, they say just saying.
Oh, the I'm just saying is old now.
Well, they say just saying right after saying something really true that also can be offensive to the person you're saying it to. For instance,
with all due respect, you ought to go to beep.
Well, they could say something like, you could get a haircut. Just saying.
Just saying. Oh, I don't want to offend you, but I'm just saying. So also in the American Muslim world, Muslim congressman caught working with terrorist front groups.
Is he a Muslim? Or is he just stupid? Or both?
He might be Muslim. They're calling him a Muslim congressman.
Oh, well then, is anybody surprised?
Right. Indiana Democrat Andre Carson took part in a major Islamic convention in Chicago this past week, which was held by the Muslim, wait for it, American Society and the Islamic Circle of North America.
Wait a minute. They're only a terrorist group under UAE. UAE's the only people that think they're a terrorist group, right?
Right. These groups are nothing more than fronts for the Muslim Brotherhood. This is no secret and has...
Well, then why are they so upset? Why are they questioning the legitimacy of the UAE putting them on a list of terrorist groups? This is all obvious. They're a terrorist front group for the Muslim Brotherhood.
And who else is funding the Muslim Brotherhood? Now that should be the crime of the century. Obama funds the Muslim Brotherhood directly. He doesn't need to go through a front group.
Yeah, he's just like, well, these are our friends.
Just cut him a check.
Cut him a check. Just cut him a check.
Cut him a check. Hey, it's a government check. You know that's good.
Your impression of him it sounds like Barack Obama, but it's almost like a hybrid between Barack Obama and Yogi Bear.
Hey, boo-boo. I'm just saying.
Cut him a check. Just saying. Cut him a check.
Whew, that's good. Wow.
Picnic basket. Oh my goodness.
Well, let's tip this one real quick because we're not going to get to the guru who ordered 400 castrations because he said that
sounds like you just did.
That'll bring people closer to his followers, his male followers.
Oh, they didn't castrate any women?
No, they're leaving that for another day.
Oh, that's spaying or neutering?
Neutering. Spade.
Spay?
Spade.
They spay?
They spade. So we're not going to do that one. He's being brought up on charges for apparently doing all 400.
Didn't you just say that you teach your girls that you can't be responsible for everybody else? You can only be responsible for yourself.
Correct.
So why is he being charged? Did he castrate them?
Might be.
Without them?
Might be.
I think that they should all suffer.
Right.
With the responsibility of letting this guy talk them into castrating themselves.
So news that you will not, news you won't hear anywhere else. Apparently, and this is breaking.
Breaking news.
The NAACP in Colorado was bombed.
Ooh, when did this happen?
This happened on Tuesday.
Wait.
This past Tuesday.
So the report is that last Tuesday, the NAACP office in Colorado,
Colorado Springs,
was bombed.
The FBI says it was deliberate.
So the FBI obviously investigated because they had to come up with what their finding was. And you're saying that they came up with it was deliberate.
Yeah, the investigators. I'm looking at a picture of the bomb. What it looks like a blackened part of the paint on the outside of the building. Investigators look over the aftermath of a homemade explosion, which was placed near the Colorado Springs chapter of the NAACP.
So there were people there that heard an explosion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then. So, of course, the people saw a big black mark on the side of the NAACP building.
Right.
And said...
The FBI... Apparently, the FBI was there, showed up.
And looked at it.
And told the Los Angeles Times, which is as liberal as they get, the FBI told the LA Times that it was a deliberate incident.
A deliberate attack on the building.
Right.
Using an explosive.
Witnesses heard a loud boom around 10:45 a.m. local time.
Okay.
There was smoke everywhere.
What do you mean by everywhere?
The building on the side was burnt. One onlooker told the LA Times. An onlooker told the news
that there was
smoke everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So what is the truth of this story?
The LA Times reports an improvised bomb.
Like an EID.
Yeah. Appeared to have been positioned against the outside wall of the building.
Improvised explosive device. IED.
Right. It was placed right next to a gasoline can.
What?
But the latter didn't burst during the explosion, according to the FBI spokeswoman, A.D. Sanders. Gary, do you know what this means? The bomb exploded, but didn't blow up the gas can.
Where was the gas can?
Right next to the bomb. That's what they said.
But the bomb wasn't there anymore because it exploded.
Right.
Okay. So
but it didn't blow up the gas can.
So there was a gas can. They found a gas can?
Right next to where the charred remains were of the bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what did somebody discover?
The internet and technology is amazing, people.
Amazing.
Somebody got to the Google and started Googling around, and you'll see this. It is amazing. Back a year ago, last year, sometime in 2014, September, I think, last year, the Google shows a picture of that charred building.
There's a black mark on the side of the building. The pictures were taken recently to show the explosion.
Right.
Well, somebody found a picture of the side of the building on Google Earth, and you can see the exact same black mark that FBI and NAACP and witnesses are claiming was the result of an explosion.
And the picture is the same as the building because you have here the time, the stamp, the location, north, south, west, the elevation. It is exactly. Google don't mess up on this. And something Carrie brought to my attention, which
I noticed.
I'm flabbergasted. I didn't even see it. Carrie, hold on.
There's a close-up shot of
the bomb went off, and then a day or two later, they're now. And this is wintertime,
right?
So a day or two later, they're standing there staring at the charred building, and you pointed out.
Oh, as soon as I saw it, I was like, what are all these leaves doing here?
What? Leaves?
So scattered all around the concrete ground, around the charred blast, black, whatever.
It's like there's no leaves anywhere else but where the black is.
It looks like what I described as undisturbed leaves. If you get a chance to look up these pictures of this report, check it out. These are not leaves that somebody threw down there later or were blown into place by the wind. These things are stuck to the ground because they're kind of wet looking.
This many leaves could not have been blown within a couple days.
No, and also they look like in the wintertime when you get a lot of rain and rain hits the leaves and stuff like that, the leaves get heavy and they also stick to the ground more. And so they don't move hardly at all. These leaves are undisturbed. They're all around where the explosion was said to have happened.
Oh, they go all the way down the... Come on, they're piled up.
Yeah, if this thing was the result, if this black smudge was the result of an explosion, an attempt to blow up the NAACP building, these leaves would be cleared out. It would be clean of any leaves.
Well, this is sidewalk width, and behind,
which is about 3 feet.
Yeah. So the charred building, 3 foot of sidewalk, and then there's a knee-high concrete wall that's holding back the dirt.
A retaining wall.
Yeah, retaining wall. And there is no evidence of anything else being charred, destroyed, broken, ruined.
Any damage whatsoever.
None
Other
on the ground.
Than the black mark that we can see on Google Earth a year ago. That's the only evidence.
It's the exact same place, the exact same corner. Everything is exactly the same.
I can't believe these geniuses didn't notice that there's undisturbed leaves all around.
Well, this is the FBI that hires volunteers that don't have to go through background checks and don't have to be vetted out, that drive in the motorcade for Obama. That happened 2 weeks ago, but it was one of those little stories that I didn't get out. But yeah. So the girl, the young 20-year-old girl, snapped a photo of herself, put it on Twitter, and said, "Look, guys, look what I'm doing."
Oh, jeez.
She's on the tarmac.
Oh.
No credentials.
Oopsies.
No, nothing.
That's a problem.
NAACP, I know you're trying to stir it up.
No, I don't. I think that they're working in conjunction with higher-ups that are trying to keep the narrative going. I think there's a battle of narratives going on here, and they're trying to get you to feel and believe and think what they want you to believe, think, and feel.
Right.
They want to control your emotions.
Right.
And
the black community is under assault in America.
By white cops.
Right, and if you look at dude, they had an artist sketch a picture of the guy.
He's wearing those the little goggles that Olympic swimmers wear.
And they're tinted. They're blacked out.
Black. I mean, really, like you can buy them that dark.
Right.
The really, really dark tinted goggles for swimming goggles.
And he's bald and white.
And he looks like an alien because his bald head is
alien
giant.
Shape. Yeah,
it's misshapen. It's like larger than a human being should be.
Investigators on Friday afternoon released this composite sketch of a man wanted for questioning in connection with the bombing.
It's ridiculous looking. It looks a little bit like Lawrence Fishburne from Matrix, though.
It does, only white Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, it's hard. It's black and white. It's a chalk. It's a like a pencil drawing.
Right.
So.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Well, other than that, ooh, wow! I guess that's about it for this week.
That's what I feel like with the events of this week.
I need to clear my mind, and I think that just did it.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I would just say, we're going to keep hearing about this terrorist thing and people defending the Islamic religion this week. Let's just see how it goes, and we're going to talk about it and give you our take on it next week. And be sure to tune in and get the facts from us.
And if you're in California, I feel so sorry for you. 46,000 illegal immigrants have gotten driver's license this week, and the government is going to subsidize their insurance.
Thank you. Or you're welcome, I should say.
That's no joke, folks. All right, stay tuned. Keep your head up. Keep moving forward. Good night
next week.
Yep.